Hi there. This will be the continuation of the first video I already did. The part on is present in my channel called How Do I Build Production Grade System, right? And that was a very long video, almost 10.5 hours maybe recording. Then after editing, it went under 6.5 hours. Okay. So we went over many concepts like from folder creation to end-to-end testing. We have shown a lot of things there, right? And that was the part one, and we will be continuing in the same repository as well. So I would suggest, like, if you need some sort of context, I will try to give you some context in the next 5 minutes maybe, right? But if you want an overview idea, I would suggest you go through the first part, and then you come back to this one, right? So yeah, we were building a server monitoring application. Basically, let's say uh, you are having some sort of server, okay, external server. So whatever application we are building, that will basically monitor that server, and inside that server, you have to install a package called fluentbit, right? And that will basically push the logs, okay? And we will be having an anomaly detector engine, right? That will detect any sort of anomaly that is coming inside the log, right? And based on the log, like if any anomaly is detected, it will try to create a ticket in the ticketing provider, right? And once the ticket is created, then our application will try to auto resolve that ticket, right, through agentic flow, right, through AI. So in the part one, we didn't include any AI part yet. We were like mostly building things like building all these entities, right? And mostly like exposing those CRUD endpoints through NestJS, right? So our main target will with part two will be, we will be introducing like how you can build different agents, AI agents inside NestJS maybe. And we will try to build some action runners as well. And let me open the code base quickly. Yeah, so this is the code base, and I don't think I did push this in GitHub, so I will be creating a public repository and put that there, and you will find the repo link and the description as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to run some tests, right? So let us run all the like end-to-end test and all the unit test, so that before starting we know like we didn't break anything. So let me cd into apps, nest application, npm run test, or npm test will work as well. So you can see like we have broken couple of things, and let us find out one by one. So this is inside this directory, log analysis service, right? And I exactly know what I have broken. That is like when we are having this ingest log endpoint, right? So we have added this description field, but we are like in the test, we are checking like if we are just only passing the title and the severity, like we are doing some exact checking, you can say, okay? But we from here, like when we're calling this add anomaly, we are passing the description field as well. So for that reason, those tests are getting failed. So you can see from here, right? So we are checking add anomaly to have been called, not this one. Yeah, from this one we are failing, I guess. Yeah, should call anomaly for, yeah, proper attributes. Okay, perfect. So to have been called with, you can see exactly job id, owner id, that's fine. And then yeah, no, this is the find on call. We want to see the add anomaly call. So in the add anomaly call, the first parameter is the id, that's fine. The job id, the job, that's fine as well. And then we are passing this object, and we are taking some direct equality, right? We do not want that, so we just have to do it like this. So yeah, it is giving us auto completion. So there's a method inside jest or vtest that is object containing. So we do not care like if any other field will be available in that object, but we only care that object should contain the title and the severity field. Like Yeah, on the second one also, let me fix that. And if I give it a save, the first error should go away. Yeah, you can see like this one is now getting passed. I just have to do the same thing for all the other. Let me toggle the wrap. Yeah, I just have to do it here as well. So object containing, I'm just hitting tab and cursor is doing the auto completion. That's perfectly fine. And also this one. So what I'm doing is, instead of strict equality check, I'm just checking like if the object, whatever object we are passing, that is containing the title and the severity or not. If I give it a save, you can see all the tests are getting passed. Okay, and let me do a end-to-end test. And yeah, end-to-end test is getting passed as well. All right, guys, let me tell you something very interesting. There is, I do not want to set any false expectation, right? You might be thinking that uh, this guy is just opening the app and he's just fixing all the errors very promptly, right? It's not like that. And whenever I'm building something, whenever I'm coming up with a section of code, I am giving a substantial amount of time behind that, right? See, whatever you can see in the YouTube, it's the edited version, right? I'm just deleting out all the pause and I'm deleting out all the trial and error. Like I'm trying to keep like if I'm doing some trial and error that might help you, then I'm keeping that. But if that's not the case, then I'm just deleting out. Okay. And also I want to show one more thing. You can see this is server monitor sandbox. So the first thing I'm doing is I am whatever I'm doing, right? I am first going into the sandbox and I'm trying it out. Like in the sandbox, I have ran that test, right? And that test was getting failed, and it took me almost 30-40 minutes to find out like what I was doing wrong. So then I found out like this description field I have added, and I'm not checking that. Okay. And then I went into the actual repository. I turned on the camera, I turned on the recording, and then I'm just showing you in 5 minutes. So all I want from you is please do not have any false expectation while watching any sort of tutorial inside YouTube, right? So there is some edited version, because if I do not edit these things out, then it will just waste your time. Okay. So for that reason, I have to edit these things out. But yeah, there's a behind the scene process. So do not have any false expectation that you should, like, if you are if to build any feature, if that is, or to find out any bug that is taking 30-40 minutes, then nothing is wrong with you. This is the actual process, and whatever you can see in the screen, that's kind of staged. Okay. So I just wanted to convey that, so that you don't have any false expectation from yourself. All right. So let's do the commit quickly. So fix description issue. Perfect. All right. So in this section, we will be performing some cleanup operation. See, the amount of bug you will introduce is kind of directly proportional to the amount of line you will be writing, right? So let's say inside a single file, you are having 10 lines of code, right? In the 10 lines of code, let's say the amount of bug you can have is one or two. Okay. But in the same file, if you are having hundreds lines of code, then the amount of bug, the probability of having the bug is getting increased as well, right? You understand that part? Perfect. So our goal, like with software development in general, should be, we want to extract out different logic. We want to refactor our code so that in the smallest amount of uh, syntax, we can actually build the logic, right? So that should be our target. Okay. But if I go to our application, you can see like for a single user service, maybe, right? You can see like we are having test for controllers, we are having test for services. The user services, like it's a pretty big service, right? We are checking some like if the user is present in the database or not. Okay. So all these things we are performing manually. And if you are inside a non-TypeScript language like JavaScript or simple Python, then It's okay. It's okay. You can have this test, like you can check like if you're calling the right method or not, those kind of things. But in our situation, we are using TypeScript. But the main problem is we are not taking the full advantage of TypeScript. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. Let's say in the user controller module, or let me take the example of user service module. Okay. In the user service module, right now we are just calling the repo.find method, and this should return an array of user, right? Basically, that promise that will resolve into an array of user, right? So instead of doing it like this, if I and before going into that, let me show you like in the user service spec documentation, we are having a check for yeah, should find all the user as well. Okay. Now in the service layer, if I just annotate this method with promise, and it should return a user array, right? Now if I do not call, or let's say I forgot to return this, then it is giving us error, right? If I call a different method, let's say I'm calling update all, then also it is giving us error, right? So TypeScript can actually handle a lot of errors for you. It can like um for every method, what I want to say is for every method, you don't have to write all those unit tests. If you are using TypeScript, right, on the compilation process, on the transpilation process, when you are converting from TypeScript to JavaScript, it will catch a lot of errors for you. Okay, and that's the reason we are using TypeScript for the first place. So if you are using a TypeScript language, then these, like, many of the tests will be redundant. And if you keep those tests, if you want, you can keep those, no problem. As I have already mentioned, the amount of the bug you will introduce is kind of directly proportional to the amount of code you will be having in your repository. So for that reason, I do not want to have this. I do not want to maintain like all these codes, right? So let's take help from TypeScript time to time. So in this situation also, I can just call this find method, and TypeScript is making sure that this method is returning a list of user, right? We are happy. And similar for this create method. So it should return a user, right? Now, if I forget to call this save, then it is giving us error. You got my idea. Okay. Similar for find on, and every time we want to have a user when you are calling find on, right? And now you can see it is giving us an error, because if you call this find on by method, then this find on basically not returning an user every time. Like if it does not find any user, it will return null, and we do not on that functionality, right? From our front end, from our API endpoint, if someone is passing any wrong ID, that's an error, that's a client error. So there is another method inside type ORM, that is find on or fail, right? Find on by or fail. So we want to call that method. So in this situation, if type ORM does not find any user with the ID, it will not just return null, it will throw an error, right? And in our NestJS error handling, it will catch that error. And in the upcoming section, I will be showing you like how you can customize those special type of error. But yeah, now you can see like NestJS will catch that error, and it will just console log that error or pass that error to the front end, right? And now if I forget to do the return, it is like catching the error. If I just if I'm calling any other method, let's say find on, then it is giving us error. Okay, so for find on also, we do not need any test inside our service spec. And similar thing for update. Inside update, we are checking like if the user present or not, then we are throwing an exception. But update, like this sort of mutation, update, remove, you do not want to like um, throw this sort of exception. Like you do not have to. Let's say someone is trying to remove a user record, right? And you are first checking like if the user present or not. If the user not present, you are throwing that error. It's kind of redundant. The best way of handling this sort of permanent mutation will be whatever data user is passing. Let's say you want to update the user by the user ID, you will just try to update, but if the user is not present, you don't find the user, then it will just silently fail. Okay, so you can do it in this fashion. So instead of calling the save, let me first remove everything. We do not want to find the user. There's another method inside um, type ORM that is called update. So if I call this update method, then the first parameter you have to pass is the identifier of that particular entity, or you can pass any condition as well. Let's say update the user where name is something, and what should be the value that you are updating with. That should be um, updated user DTO. Okay, but instead of name, we just want to pass the ID here. Okay, now what type ORM will do is type ORM will go into the database. It will try to update the entity, and if the entity, like in the SQL, it will just mention like where ID is equal to this, right? Now if you pass any sort of wrong ID, then that where clause will fail inside SQL, and it's not updating anything, and that's fine. Okay, so you can see like from 5 to 10 lines, I have reduced that into a single line, and that's good. Okay, similar thing for delete. If you pass this ID parameter here, it will try to delete this entity by this ID. But if you do not, if it does not find anything, then it will just silently fail, and you want that. Okay, and if I go to the user service spec now, you can see there are many lines. We have written like with obviously with LLM, but we have written 104 lines for just to test this CRUD operation, and we do not need that. TypeScript can handle this, right? So let me just safely remove this file. And similar thing for controller. In the controller, we are just calling the um, service, and whatever service is returning, we're just passing through. If you want, you can annotate this find all create as well with proper type annotation, but that is, in if you ask me, that is kind of redundant. Okay, and to have a test for the controller, if you are not doing any sort of special kind of thing, that is again kind of redundant. So let me delete the controller test. Okay, now inside the user service, we are having a simple service. By the way, before going into the next section, I want to mention one more thing. That is, inside this create method right now, whatever data that is coming into the create user DTO, you are just directly passing that in the user. But let's say you want to pass some more information when you are saving the, or when you are creating the user. Maybe you want to set some default values, right? So you have two options. In the entity level, you can mark those default value. Let's say there is a role, maybe, um, so column, and that is role. Okay, user role. So, and that's a string. You can pass some default value here. Key default value will be user. Okay, that's one way of doing things. Then also you don't have to type do any unit test. Okay, you can just check the whole thing from an end-to-end test. And the second way of doing that same thing is in the in the user service. If you are passing any default value from the application layer, let's say you are doing it like this. So you are passing the user, and then you are passing the role here. So if you are passing any default value when you are calling save, then you can have a single test for that key. You are passing the proper value or not. Okay. So you got my idea. If you are just directly calling the type whatever functions inside your service layer, then you don't have to um, do the unit testing. You can just rely on TypeScript, and TypeScript will take care of those things, right? So now you can see our whatever user module we are having. We are having some clean DTO. That's fine. We are having a single entity and controller service, and it's a very lightweight module now, right? So in the similar fashion, we will be refactoring all the other entities as well. Let me do a quick comment. So add everything. So user module update, remove that's perfect. All right. Let us now perform the same thing with our other entities as well. So let's start with remote server, because inside ticketing we don't have any special entity. So for the remote server, we already don't have any controller test. That's fine. And but in the remote server service, there are many tests, right? So we do not need all these things. So first, let us customize this one. So let's start from the remove. Get by ID we do not need, because we are just using those in the remove and the update on, right? So similar thing, this dot report or delete, and you can see the check will run like this. Like it will have a where clause, and in the SQL query, the where clause will be where ID is equal to ID, and owner ID is equal to whatever value owner ID you are passing, right? Similar thing for update, and let me do it like this. So ID and owner ID in the where clause, and then whatever you want to update. Perfect. Let me make it in the single line. And find on, we do not want any find one by, we want find one by or fail. Okay. If you want, you can denote, like annotate this. And if you do not, then also like um, it will have a implicit annotation. So find on by, that's fine. And for the create, yeah, this is the one I was talking about, right? In the create, you can see we're passing some default status here. Okay. Now in the entities level, what you can do is, when you are having this status, yeah, column status, you can have the default status like this. So default server status should be unknown. Okay. In that situation, you don't have to pass anything here. Okay. You can just remove this line. That will work just perfectly. Okay. But then also you can just check like if you are passing the owner ID properly or not. Okay. But if you do not pass the owner ID, as owner ID has a where is the owner ID? Yeah, owner ID, we do not have any foreign key owner ID. But if you mark this as a foreign key, then SQL will give you an error that foreign key constant you didn't pass any sort of owner ID. Okay, that's a design problem from our side. We should mark this as a foreign key with the user table. Okay, but right now, let's just pass owner ID here. But in the future, in the upcoming videos, I will be marking this as foreign key. In that situation, if you do not passing the owner ID, if you are not passing the owner ID, then it will just throw an error, right? And you can see we are calling two method. First we are creating, then we are saving. We can just remove the this step altogether. So we can just call save, and let me remove that. And this should be like this: promise remote server and props and owner ID. We don't care about the status, because status will coming from the default value, right? um so it's good, we have reduced our uh, remote server size quite a bit. And yeah, let me go to my test. And just to show you, I will be keeping the create test one. Okay, so let's keep this and let me remove all the other tests. Perfect. And now inside the create, what I have to do is, let me have the create DTO. Okay. And I'm just passing the name and description maybe. Yeah, first import that description. And okay, if I do not pass any configuration, it is yelling. So let's do one thing. From the UI, it might happen that we want to configure the remote server in the next step, right? In that situation, let's mark this optional. Okay, when you are creating, you can just provide the name and description. That's fine. When you are creating the things, right? We do not have to arrange anything. We do not have to mock anything here. Okay, and yeah, we are passing create user DTO. We just have to check like save is getting called or not, and save is getting called with the create user DTO. Owner ID is equal to 1 because we're passing on here, and the remote server status. This will get failed because we are handling this from the database layer. But yeah, if you want, you can check that as well. Like if you are keeping that in the application layer. So let's give it a save, and let me run the test here. pnpm test and remote server. Yep, test is getting passed just fine. And we will be doing some more cleanup as well. You can see like we are following the test nestjs, like how nest is testing, how we should have our test here, right? We want to create a testing module, then we are passing all the providers. Now in our server, in our remote server service, we are just having a single dependency. Okay, but let's say we are having 15 dependency. It can happen when we'll be introducing AI, when we'll be introducing different SSS connection in different class. We will have to inject different dependencies, right? So in that situation, in the testing file, you have to like pass objects like this, and you have to do a mocking, like all this set our kind of tedious, right? So for that, we kind of have a solution. So let me go to the Nest documentation, right? And let me go to the testing section. Okay, and if you keep reading the testing section, and that's the reason you should go through the documentation. Like for everything, there's a right way of doing things, right? Obviously, you can do it in your way. Like I always tell one thing, like inside our like all these South Asian countries, people like we kind of have a jugadu mentality, and that's fine. But some of the time, if you want to think outside of the box, you have to know what is inside the box, right? So but we completely bypass that stuff. We do not want to go through the documentation. Like whatever we know, we kind of um, we want to just apply that thing and just call it a day. Okay, but that should not be the case. Like if you want to become a good little engineer, then yeah, you should read the documentation time to time. And nowadays, after coming AI, like still I'm like if I'm learning any new technology, I first go through the entire documentation. Okay, but most of the junior engineer I see nowadays, like if I give them any task, they will be like prompt the AI if they can see the solution in the screen, or if the HTTP client, they call it a day. Okay, but it should not be like that way. Anyway, if you scroll down to this auto mocking section, right, they are having a nice little handler, nice little method with this testing module, like whatever testing module is returning, right? So if you call this useMocker, right, then you can handle everything. Like um, useMocker will give you a token, and inside dependency injection, everything is handled through a token. Like if um, I'm expecting that you know dependency injection, right? If you do not understand dependency injection, then that will be problematic. But yeah, um, so token means every class will have a name. Okay, and with that name, they will just instantiate that class. They will create an object out of that class, and they will um, keep that object in a map, you can say. And whenever you are expecting any sort of any sort of object, let's say if I go back to my source code inside this repo, right? And when you are instantiating this class, remote server service class, creating an object out of that, dependency injector framework will inject this repository here. And how that dependency injection framework will find that repository, it is maintaining a map, you can say, on object, JavaScript object. Okay, and inside that object, it will have a key and the value, and that key is that token, right? It is calling that repo token. And that's the reason when you are um getting this function, right, you are just calling like get repository token. So we are finding out like what does this token called, like inside type orm, what does this token called. Okay, and type orm giving you that remote server token. Okay, and then that dependency framework is finding out that instantiated version of that class and giving you that class. Clear? So you can use this useMocker class. Okay, and whenever you are having a token, based on the token, let's say this token is equal to cat service, token can be a class name as well, right? Stringify version, I already shown you, like you can do a function dot name, and that will give you a name. Okay, so if that token is the cat service, then it is returning this. Okay, And finally, if it does not find any token, it does not care, then it's just returning something default maybe. Okay, we can actually use this feature. How to do that? So let me first remove this section. Perfect. And in the global section, we already configured this mocking thing, right? So if I go to widget setup, we are having a mock function. Where is that? Yeah, and we're calling it mock. All right. So what we can do is we can do it like this. Let me create a new line. Yeah, useMocker, and we can just call that mock function. So every mocker, every provider, it will just call this function, and this function will return you a mock object, right? And it will just pass that, right? Now, and also you can remove these things as well, because repo is already mocked version of that remote server. Okay, give it a save. Let me run the test again, and you can see all the tests are getting passed. But if I remove this part, it will tell you that it does not find that remote server. You can see already it is getting failed. Okay, dependency injection is getting failed. Okay, so the good thing about this is, if I do put that, and now if I go back to my service, and let's say I'm depending on something else, let's say event emitter. Okay, or let's depend on any other repository maybe. So anomaly repo. Okay, if I give it a save, the test is getting passed, because in the test, the anomaly repo is also getting mocked and it is getting passed from this line. Clear? Perfect. So we have reduced a substantial amount of line from our method calls and testing files, and this is a very good thing. Let me do a full test, and yeah, all the things are running perfectly. And I will be making changes to log sources, log analysis, and everything else as well. So before going into that, let me just do a quick commit. So add everything, test, update, remote server. Perfect. All right, we'll be continuing our journey to fix all those redundant tests. So in the authentication, right now we are having a controller that we are not using, so I can safely delete that. In the auth service, we're just checking if the service is defined or not. For now, this is good, no problem with that. And then with the log analysis job, uh, yeah, we are only ingesting the jobs, right? We are not having any sort of CRUD operation here. And in the service spec, we are just checking, like, uh, the ingestion process is working properly or not. So we have to do some cleanup here as well, as I have already shown you. Like, we will be using the module mocking mechanism from Nest, right? Before going into that, let me tackle this log analysis job on, like, this is a proper entity, right? And for the controller, we don't have any test. That's fine. And for the service, we are having a couple of CRUD function. The first one is create. We will be coming back to that later. Let me start from the delete on or remove one, right? So get by ID, this is not required. If the entity is found with this ID and owner ID, then it will remove that. Similar for updates, we do not want to get it by ID. And let me just have a update. The first is ID, owner ID, and whatever things we are passing here. Okay, and then get by ID, this should return a log analysis job, and find one by or fail. Okay, that's perfect. This should be find on. What did I do? We do not even need this one. Okay, perfect. So find on or fail. This is fine. Let me mark it with this as well. Find all is fine as well. And for the create one, in the remote server, first we are checking like if we can find the server properly or not. And if we do not find the server, then we are just throwing a bad request exception, and that is kind of fine, right? And then we are checking if we do have any log source with the provided log source ID, but that is not mandatory. Okay. And finally we are creating it, and instead of calling two methods, we can just directly pass it here. That's fine. All right, now this test should get failed. Let me do it like this as well. And open the test. Let me zoom out a bit. I don't know you will be able to see it or properly or not, but yeah. The first thing we want to do is we can remove this. This is fine. And useMocker. We can remove this part as well. What did I do? Okay, perfect. It should be defined. That's good. Oh, sorry. I was checking the log ingestion one. That's fine. No problem with that. Because in the log ingestion on also we have to like fix this before is on, right? So that's good. Why this is giving us some error? Argument of null is not accessible to parameter as any. Okay, we'll be coming back to this later. Now just fix this one. Yeah. All right, this is a monster. Look at this. We are passing a lot of things here. So let me remove one by one. That's fine. Same thing. And we don't need this part. Same for this and also this. And I'm just hitting tab. Okay. All right. To be defined is fine. We are planning to keep this create on. Find all we don't need. Find on also we don't need. Get by ID don't need. Update also don't need. And remove also. Perfect. Now let us fix the describe create one. So see, these we have generated this with the LLM, right? So that's why it is kind of repeating this create DTO logic. And how actually you should do it is like this. So you have a function called get create DTO. Okay, and from here you just return, or yeah, let's just return. And let me copy everything from here. Let me cut it, not copy. And as and this is the important part. So there's a thing called overrides, right? So what you can do is you can pass another object called override, which will be partial of the interface that you were expecting, right? So if when you are calling this create DTO, if you're not passing any overrides, then you will get this object. But if you are passing in overrides, you are just overriding that with this, right? So now you have the create DTO, so you do not need this. And for created job, we do not need this as well. Mock return value, we do not need this. Perfect. And in the ends section, let me just have it like this. So constant create DTO, first I'm calling this, then I'm just passing create DTO here. Then in the act section, see, we are checking the creation of this save method, right? So in this creation method, we should not check these things like key find on is getting called or not, in remote service, log analysis service, that can be checked in another way. So let me show that to you. We do not want to check the create one. Let me copy it from here. Let me remove everything related to create. Let me first copy this in my clipboard. So we don't need this, save, it's fine. And result we are not checking, TypeScript will check that. And we just want to have like this. So whatever create detail you are passing here, that will come here. And these are some default values, right? Now, you saw like we have deleted a couple of these find on call, right, from log source service and remote server service. That's because if you are not calling those things, then whatever you are passing here, that should not be coming here as well, right? So let me explicitly mention here. So log source can be a new log source, okay, and a remote server will be a new remote server. Perfect. And instead of passing this, I'm just passing the log source and remote server. That's good. And here you can just check like if those things are coming here or not, and that is kind of fine. Perfect. Similar thing for it should not throw an error if log source is not provided. Again, we will be having a create DTO here, and now we want to override it, right? And override log source ID should be undefined. Again, we don't need this. And this part, we are calling it for both the it statement, right? So what we can do is in the describe block, we can have a before each. So before each, so this before each will be only scoped to this describe block, right? So we can cut this. Let me cut it. Let me paste it here. Perfect. And we have to take it out from the before is as well. So log source, we are checking it. Now inside this test block, what we can do is we can just remove this. We don't need it. This one as well. And we are just checking that log source.find on is not getting called. Okay, let's give it a save and pnpm run test. Let's run all the tests. Let's see if we have broken anything or not. So everything is getting passed properly. All right. And now you can see like previously it was a very big test, right? And in the setup block also we have deleted a lot of lines. On the create also we have extracted out some common logic, right? And now like this one, let me remove this arrange statement as well. We don't need this comment. We know what we are doing, and we don't have to assign this. Okay, perfect. Let me put that in the single line. Perfect. Let me do another test. Perfect. So now you can see this it block is only 3 lines, right? And this is 5 to 6 lines. And right now, whatever we're having in the add anomaly, that's kind of fine. But yeah, if you want, you can optimize this as well. I'm just showing you like if you want to like whatever code you are getting from the LLM, you should go over this code and you should refactor this code because whenever you are generating any sort of code from LLM, it will be super repetitive. And trust me, that is the only big problem I'm currently having with the LLM thing. Right? It will not extract out a function unless you are explicitly telling it to, right? And it will not follow the best practices. Couple of days back, I was going through a YouTube video, right? So this LLM, all these LLM things are it's kind of a prediction model, right? And it is kind of working on that average statistics. So let's say if I take the entire GitHub, okay, let's say it has 100 repositories, right? Out of those 100 repositories, 90 repository will contain crappy code, right? And 10 repositories might contain some like OK type of code and one or two repository. Like out of out of those 10, 5 will be OK type, OK-ish type, 2 will be very good, right? And rest of the 3 are extraordinary, maybe, right? But those other 90 that I have previously mentioned, right? Those will be kind of crappy codes, and your LLM got trained on all those 100 repositories. So when you are asking that LLM to generate any code, as this is the average model, right? It will give you some average result. So for that reason, it is not even following the drive principle unless you are explicitly mentioning that, right? So whatever code the LLM is generating, I like every time I'm doing some sort of refactoring, and I'm removing a lot of lines of code, right? So that should be your approach as well, so that the code base get like at least it is maintainable. All right. So we are done with the log analysis service, and we did some changes in the log analysis service and log analysis job service as well, and that's a good start, I guess. Let me close all the editors. Let me run the end-to-end test as well, so that we are sure that we didn't break anything. And yeah, everything is nice. So let me do a quick commit or test remove, and this will be controller. Perfect. And log analysis job, log analysis job, CRUD update. Perfect. And log analysis service test setup update. Okay, very good. All right. In the previous chapter, what we did is inside this log analysis service, right? We only changed this one, like here where we're setting things up, right? We are using this useMocker. Now we'll be going over every test statement, and we'll see like if we can fix some things, right? So the first thing I can see, I am mentioning any here, which is not the right thing. Let me open the actual file as well. All right, so in the file, you can see the first thing we're doing is we're calling this find on. And if you remember correctly, if you do not find any not found, like job or this entity is not found, then it will by default throw an exception, right? So you don't have to do any check like this. So if I hover over here, you can see like job will always be log analysis job. Okay, so if find on is not finding anything, then it will automatically throw an error. So this line is not needed. So let's give it a save, and here we can just have it like this: find on mock reject value. Okay, new error is fine, job not found, and rest of the things should throw not found exception when job not is found. And this part is redundant again, right? So this is only we are checking key if it is throwing not found exception or not. Let's remove the not found exception because we don't know which type of exception it will throw. So it will throw an exception. Okay, and in this particular block we should not test like this find on is getting called with proper parameter or not. If you want to test that, you should create a separate block. So let me remove that as well. Okay, and finally add anomaly not to have been called. This is also not needed here. Called if this line is getting passed on line number 37 key, this is throwing an error. So after the throw is complete, the code will not get executed, right? So let's give it a save. Let me run my test as well. So pnpm test. Okay, we are having some error. So we are checking it's throwing not found exception. Let me just check, it should throw. Okay, perfect. Now in the next section we are declaring some log here, and I think I can cut this. and let me put it here beside this describe block, and this we can put inside a before each block. Perfect. Let me give it a save. Now should call add anomaly for each log with proper attributes. All right, let's give it a save. It is working. Perfect. Should use the default message when message is missing. So inside the logs, we are just passing the level, nothing else. This is redundant again. We don't have to pass that. We are doing that inside the wait for each. Perfect. In just logs. Perfect. Um, it's passing. Now we are not passing the level and checking like if anomaly severity is assigning getting assigned as high or not. That's fine as well. For the critical severity, again this line is not needed. Should use high severity for non-critical levels. So we are passing some non-critical levels, and for all the logs it should be high, right? So here we are using a for each loop. If you want, in this case also you can use a for each loop. That is also a possibility, right? um should handle empty logs array. Again this is not needed, and to have been called with, this is also not needed. Should handle logs with empty message string. Again you are just passing untitled log message. Yeah, so we have successfully restructured or successfully extracted out all the necessary logic from all those repetitive code inside log analysis service spec as well, right? So let me give it a quick commit. What did we change? We changed this not found exception behavior and the tests. Perfect. So log analysis service update. Perfect. All right, so most of the entities we have refactored correctly. um, yeah, log analysis is also done, remote server is done, log source is yet to be completed, but yeah, right now as we have been using Fluentbit, right, I'm not that worried about log sources. This will be a good to have feature in the future. So if we are going with different log sources like Prometheus, Javix, then we'll be coming back to this entity and we'll be modifying the test and everything. Okay, so for now log sources is fine, whatever we are having currently, and log analysis is also done, like the refactoration part only, right? Now we have to implement the new feature, that is what is happening is this log anomaly detector, after detecting the anomaly, right, like from the fluent bit you are finding out any sort of anomaly, right, you are sending that anomaly, and you are creating a ticket, right? So I'm talking about this part. So in the log source, if you go to the ingest, what is the, no, not this one, log analysis, sorry, yeah, in the log analysis service you are having an ingest logs method, right? So you are using this method to basically add an anomaly, and in the add anomaly you are emitting an anomaly created event, right? So once the anomaly is getting created in the ticketing service, you are listening for that. So here's the event listener, right? And you are, if the provider is present, you are creating the ticket in the provider, and yeah. So now what we want to do is, after creating the ticket, we want to emit another event, that is ticket creation event, right? So let us go into our shared directory. Let me copy this anomaly event. Let's rename this ticket events.ts. Okay, ticket created event payload. as for the ticket, we are not having any different entity. We are storing the ticket data inside the anomaly entity, if you remember correctly, right? So we just need the anomaly ID to get the ticket information. That's fine. Okay, let's close out from this file, and where we're creating the ticket, let me open that file. Yeah, ticket creation service. So after creating the ticket, we are returning it. Let's not return anything. Let me avoid this, and we just want to, yeah, emit the event. So let me bring the event emitter. Okay, we can bring it here. Event emitter 2, perfect. And ticket creation event, and we are just passing the anomaly ID. That's good. All right. Now I want to perform some more refactoration, right? Like if you see here, like let's say from this ticketing service, if we are accessing anything from the log analysis service, we know the exact folder structure, right? We know like inside log analysis job, there's a folder called entity, and inside that entity, we are having this anomaly entity. And from that, we are bringing these types. This is not a very good practice. So from outside service, we should not know about the internal folder structure, right? So how to avoid that? Let me show you a technique for that. So inside log analysis service, what we can do is we can have a top level index file. So index.ts, and whatever is required from this outside of this module, we will be re-exporting basically from this index.ts. So it will make sense. So we just need all the type information like anomaly type, job type. So export type um, from log analysis jobs entities, anomaly entity, and we want to just export the anomaly. Similarly, log analysis job, perfect. Now inside this ticketing service, we can bring it like this. So from the log analysis, we are having an index file, and we are just bringing the type like this. Anomaly severity also we need. So let me just do it like this. Export all the types. Similar from here. Right. Log analysis job service, we are bringing the service as well. So let me export the service. So from log analysis job dot service. Perfect. Let's do the same thing for this shared events as well. So in my shared directory, let's have a index file. Okay, and let's export everything from anomaly event as well as ticket event. So we can remove this ticket creation event. And for ticketing providers, yeah, this is internal, so it's fine. And this is also internal, so this is fine as well. Why this is giving me error? Now is it okay? Okay, this is problematic. So the anomaly type, we should not export that as type. So I can remove this part. Now it should work. So in the top level, you can see like we are having like from this ticketing service, we do not know like how the anomaly status, how the log analysis service has been defined. We just know that from the log analysis, we are bringing this stuff. right? For the event also, we are doing the same thing. So yeah, this is good. We are actually publishing the event after creating the ticket. So this emit is not returning any promise or anything. So we do not have to wait for anything. Okay. So um, let us run our test now, because obviously we have broken a couple of things because we have added a new dependency here, right? So pnpm test, and as you can see, it is giving us some dependency injection error. So let me close this file, and let us open our ticketing service, and we have created a mess here. Kind of, we have to fix this as well. So we have generated this code, if you remember correctly, from AI, and there are so much repetition, like this is unmaintainable kind of. So yeah, first we learned a new technique for NestJS to mock the dependency. We will be using that. So let me put the compile thing in the new line, and useMocker. We do not have to access the token. We will be just returning the mock function. That's it, right? And we were manually creating all these mocks and everything. Let me remove all these things. Let me remove first these two. So, and let me redeclare here. Okay, and we can remove this TypeScript thing as well. Okay, let me give it a save, and now only one test is getting failed. That's because in the previous scenario, if you remember correctly, we were returning the whole thing, right? Like in this line, we were returning the ticket, but now we are not returning anything. That's why. And on every test, you can see we are testing like if result is defined or not. So yeah, let me tackle that. So which test is getting failed? Let us fix that on first. Should create ticket when provider config is valid. So should not this one. Yeah, this one. When provider config is valid. So we are getting the results and just checking the result here. Let's not do that. So now all the tests are getting passed, but the test, whatever test we are writing here, it's not good at all, right? So let us fix those one by one. So let's start from the first one. So should return only when provider config is missing. That's fine. So what I am saying is, say you will be calling this. So what we are doing here is we will be like, if I go back to the ticketing service, we are calling the ticketing service system config, right, with the job ID from this log analysis job service. So all we are saying is, all we are testing here is, if you get undefined in this situation, just return only. Do not try to create any ticket or anything. Right? That's good. Okay. And you are creating a dummy event, and I feel like in every step we are having a event. So let me just put it here, and let me remove that. We are not interested in the result. Okay. And in this step, we are checking like get ticketing system config is getting called with proper parameter or not. But in the test name, that is not like there's a mismatch, right? In the test name, we are saying like we are just checking if provider configuration is missing, you should not go forward. Like this ticketing provider factory dot create should not get called. But again, we are checking something else here. This is not good. If you want to check these things, you can check it in some other test. So this is, we have to delete that part as well. So let me now, whatever we are saying, like the wording with the wording for the test is getting reflected in the actual behavior as well. So let me give it a save, and everything is getting passed. That's good. And now should return only when provider type is missing. So it's not just enough to have the provider configuration, right? In the provider configuration, if you see here, we are checking like the provider type is set or not, right? So if in here we are checking that like if provider type is missing, then we have to return as well. So now in the mock result value, we are passing just an empty object, but there is no type field. In previously, we are passing an undefined thing. If you see here, right? So again, we are already having an event. We are not interested in the result part. Let me remove that, and we are not checking it. Again, this part we can remove it as well. And ticketing provider factory.create should not get called. Perfect. Yeah, it's getting passed. Now should return only when anomaly does not exist. Now we are going into the actual logic. So this part is done. Line number 29. So provider config, provider type config, and everything is present. So we are at line number 30. Now we are getting the anomaly over, and we are checking like if we can get the proper anomaly or not. Right. And anomaly status is open or not. Those kind of things we have to check now. So long analysis job service mock result value, and all the other tests we will be having a mock result value. So let me remove this, and let me put it in the before is block. And now the gate anomaly part is giving you a mock result value of null, right? Again, we can remove the event here. We are not interested in result to be undefined and this test. So just hit tab and AI will do its job. Perfect. Now mock provider dot create ticket. Previously we were checking ticketing provider factory dot create is getting called or not. Now we want to see mock provider dot create ticket is getting called. So and where we are getting the mock provider by by calling this mock provider dot create, right? So let me by default let me return that as well. So ticketing provider factory, yeah, mock return value. So we were just returning the mock provider that we already have here. Perfect. Let's give it a save. Should return only when anomaly does not exist. This is done. This is done. Let me call up some things so that we can see it properly. And should return only when anomaly status. No, this one we are checking. Should return only when anomaly does not exist. So anomaly does not exist because and expect mock provider dot create ticket. We are passing a proper mock provider here as well, right? This mock provider not to have been called. Let me give it a save and it should work. Yeah, it is working. This is done as well. Now should return only when anomaly status is open. So again, mock result value, this is we are handling in the before each block. We are creating a dummy anomaly, but anomaly status is closed. Again, whatever we are saying in this test, right? We are passing a lot of things, right? So we can actually extract out a simple function type of thing key get anomaly, right? And let me just pass some overrides here, and let me bring the anomaly. And let me pass the overrides here as well. And on the top, we are still accessing the internal structure. We should not do that. And log analysis job service, we can bring it from here. Perfect. Let me give it a save. And now when we're creating the anomaly, let me have the anomaly like this, get anomaly and status is closed. Now let me just pass the anomaly here, and we don't have to pass any now. And we can remove this part. Result, we are not interested. This part we are not interested as well. Again, as this is closed, the create ticket should not have been called. Yeah, this is fine. And now should create the ticket when provider config is valid. So let me remove this part. So constant anomaly is equal to get anomaly. And now severity is high and status is open. Okay, previously status was closed. Now we don't have to do this. This is not needed as well. Perfect. And this is not needed. And gate anomaly will just be returning this. Event part also we don't need. Perfect. We are not checking all these things. And event emitter, we are not checking here. I don't know why did I put there. uh, and title, whatever anomaly we have created, anomaly title, anomaly description, and ticket severity is high. Perfect. Let me give it a save and it should work. And finally, we are just checking the mapping part is working properly or not. And we should not check that again, because this sort of mapping things, you can handle it from TypeScript, like if you are having any error, right? So let me just remove this test, and rest of the things are good to go. So all the tests are getting passed properly. Right, perfect. Now we can see we were having a ugly looking tests file, but now all the tests are like in 2 or 3 lines, and all the shared logic we're extracting out inside the before each. So we are in a good start. And now we have added a new functionality here, right? We are emitting an event, so we have to check that key we are properly emitting the event or not. So that part we will be writing a single test for that, and then we're good with ticketing service. So let me quickly write that test. So let event emitter import event emitter 2 as event emitter. That's mock part. And perfect. uh on the event emitter part, do I have to pass it like event emitter 2, or renaming the class will work? I don't think so. Let me give it a save. Let me see event emitter is defined or not. Let's actually check like all the things are defined or not. Yeah, these are defined. So event emitter defined. So this describe block is kind of done. Or let's do one thing. As this is a single event, right? We do not need a separate describe block, right? So let me cut this event logic from here, like the top level logic, like creating the event, get the anomaly, and this before whatever we are doing inside the before reach. Let me cut it here and let me put it in this part, right? And we can actually remove this whole describe block. So let me cut everything from this describe block and let me paste it here. So we are only having a top level description block. That's kind of fine. So these are all okay. um, Now let's just test the ticketing. Yeah, it should emit a ticket created event when the ticket is getting created. Let's see what the AI is giving us. And it has already broken the code. It should raise an ticket created event when ticket is getting created. So again, anomaly, we are we are good with the anomaly. Anomaly service mock result value is fine, and we are just expecting. Let's give it a save, and yeah, everything is working properly. Perfect. So we are done with the ticketing service. Now, when we are creating the ticket, right? So the anomaly is coming to our application, and when we are happy with the anomaly, we want to create a ticket. We're creating a ticket, and after the ticket creation, we are just raising an event that ticket has been created, right? And in some other service, we will be listening for the ticket creation, and we will do our further job. Perfect. So we did a lot of changes here, some TypeScript changes. So let me add those first. So top level index, Perfect. And ticketing service, test fix, and raise event feature add. Perfect. Hit commit, and we're good. Nice. All right. Now we have to listen for the ticket creation event, right? So when any sort of ticket is getting created for any server, remote server, we want to listen for that, right? And we will try to take necessary action. Okay, so let's start building that feature. So inside the remote servers, right, let's have a new service called monitoring service. So let me open that in my integrated terminal. And if you remember, we can create a service with nest generate, right? Service short for like S short for service, and the service name. Let's call it monitoring. Okay, so that's good. Hit enter, and now it has created a folder called monitoring, and inside that we are having a test, simple test. It's just checking as it is defined or not, and we'll be coming back to this in a moment. And the monitoring service, right? And in the remote server module, it has included in the providers array this monitoring service, right? Now inside this monitoring service, we want to listen for um, that event, right? So let's have an event handler called handle ticket creation, and on event, and that will be for ticket created event dot name. And in the event section we will just have the ticket created event, right? Now in the ticket created event, we are only having the anomaly id in the payload, right? So in the event dot payload, we can extract out the anomaly id from here. Now from this anomaly id, we have to find out the ticketing information. Now, if you remember correctly, for ticket we are not creating any separate entity, right? We are storing all the ticketing information um, inside the anomaly itself. So we are having the anomaly ID, and we need to query the anomaly database, right, to find out all the information regarding the tickets, right? And then we'll be querying the remote server database as well to find out the remote server information, like if we can get the connection details and all. Okay, so to query the anomaly database, you have couple of options. The first option is you can directly depend on type ORM to query the anomaly ID, to query the anomaly database. Or the second option is you can just call this service. Okay, so inside log analysis job, we are if you go into this log analysis job service, right? There was a method called get anomaly. Okay, so you can see we can just find out the anomaly with this anomaly id. So let me do that, and we will run into a very nasty problem very quickly, right? So inside the remote servers, in the module, we are now having that monitoring service module, monitoring service, and inside this service we want to access this log analysis job service as well, right? But there is a circular dependency here. If you see inside this log analysis, let me open this module as well, that will make sense. In the log analysis job module, we are importing this remote server module. And now we are in a situation where inside this remote server module also, we need this log analysis job module. So this is a circular dependency, right? And in your code base, as much as you can, you should avoid this sort of circular dependency when you are working with nestjs. And if you want to have circular dependency, that is also fine. There are workaround for that. So if you search for circular dependency, you can see like there is a method called forward, I guess. What is that? That should be under fundamental, yeah, circular dependency. You can see in this fashion we can use this forward ref function to basically manage the circular dependency, right? And that's not a very good design decision, right? And the second way is you can go with a thing called CQRS, command query segregation, responsibility segregation, right? So let me quickly explain what do I mean by that. Then we will be writing code for that as well. So CQRS, and it is short for command query responsibility segregation. Okay, now let's understand one by one. So what is command? Command are any sort of mutation in your application. Command can be an update operation, a delete operation, a create operation, right? So these things are called command. And what is query? Query is only the read operation. Okay, now this CQRS is telling you that inside your code base, this is for a large code base only. Like if you are building a large distributed system, maybe you should separate these two things out. You should have a read layer and you should have a write layer, or a layer for all the other mutations, right? But in a simple application, if you can see here, let me take any entity example. Let's say for log analysis job, right? If I open the service, we are doing creation here, we are reading here. Okay, these two are read operation, this is again the mutation operation. So inside a single class we are performing all these things, right? But CQRS, what CQRS suggested is, like, if you are having a big application, then you should separate these things out, right? So inside a complicated system, you will be having multiple complicated, very complicated read or query pattern, right? And you should have a separate class for that. And if you are supporting a complicated UI as well, okay, so most of the time it will be like in your UI, you will be showing some sort of dashboard, and in the dashboard, let's say this is a dashboard, and in the dashboard first you are showing the remote server information, maybe. Let me remote server, then how many anomalies it is having, so anomaly info, then you are showing ticket status. Okay, then you are saying some showing something else, maybe, let's say log server status. There are many things, right? Now you have two options. The first option is whenever the user is loading this dashboard, right, you will call your database 6 7 times, right? And you will be collecting your data in the application layer, right? And you will be sending the data to the UI. So this is one way of doing this, and for a very simple small application, this is good, no problem. But when your application is very big, then you need some separate class to handle this sort of dashboard, right? Or inside your application as well, there will be some sort of operation, some kind of operation that might need multiple database call, right? So you should have a separate class for that, and inside that class you will handle those very heavy operation, heavy query operation. And similar for mutation, if you are doing any sort of heavy mutating operation, you can have a separate class for that, right? And you will be directly going into the database and doing all sort of mutation. You will be handling multiple like super fancy tool, maybe database tool, to pull those things off, maybe, right? And in our application also we have to rely on this CQRs now, because see, when you are creating this ticket, right? uh, Let me open the monitoring service. Now, inside this monitoring service, we will be first querying the anomaly table, then finding out the anomaly information, finding out the ticketing information from there. Then we'll be finding out the querying the remote server table, finding out the remote server information, the connection configuration, like all these things we should not handle in the monitoring service, right? So inside the monitoring service, server monitoring service, instead of that, it will just depend on a query, special type of query, that a ticket has been created. Give me the all the context that I need for that ticket creation context, right? So we will be having a query layer, and everything will make sense. And in that way, we won't be having any sort of circular dependency as well. So let me quickly build that instead of saying all these things. Yeah, do save that. And let me open my Nest app in my integrated terminal, and we'll be creating a new module, Nest generate module, and let's call it queries. Okay, so all the spatial type of queries for the front end, like if you are having any dashboard, we will be putting all those queries, all those spatial type of queries here. If in your application also, if you need any heavy type of query, we will be putting that there as well. And yeah, let me build that queries. So what? Invalid 70 m nest generate. Acha, for module it will be mo. So we have created the queries module, right? And the CLI also brought it here. Nice. Now inside the query module, let me have a nice little class called ticket creation context query.ts. And inside this folder, whatever class, whatever file we'll be having, if we are having the query thing inside that inside that file, we will be ending that with this query.ts. Okay, that's fine. So export class ticket creation context query. Perfect. And the standard practices, you will be having a method called execute, right? For now, let me just throw an error key method not implemented, right? So and let me mark it as injectable. So the dependency injection framework can find these things out. So injectable. Perfect. And yeah, let me bring that here as well. Okay, and inside the queries also we will be having a top level index.ts. Okay, and we will be exporting everything from here. So and queries module, and here if you want, you can just bring it like this. Okay, that's fine. And yeah, let me just export the ticket creation context query. Good. Now inside this ticket creation context query, let me open that. Let me have an interface called ticket creation context, right? And inside this ticket creation context, we will be exposing couple of properties that will make sense for this ticket creation context. Things like maybe ticketing information. So ticket, inside the ticket we will be providing the ID, we will provide the title, the description, maybe the severity. And again, we are pulling it from ticket.types. So inside the ticketing module also, we should have a top level index file. And let me first export all the types from here. So now I can simply remove this part. And ticketing severity and ticketing status, created and updated, we are not interested for now. And we want to give some server information as well, like is configured. So when you are creating the server, you should have a step, or you should have a process to test the connection is working properly or not. And here we just want to directly know key server is configured or not. Okay, and in our ticket context query, we'll be figuring that thing out key, when we can mark a server as is configured. Okay, and if that is configured, then we need some SSH configuration. Okay, and in the SSH configuration, maybe we need the host, we need the port, username. Port is 22 is fine. Host, username, and instead of password, let me just have private key. And in the execute, we are just saying key. It will just return you a promise, and the promise will resolve into this thing. Let me give it a save. Let me close this file. And now inside your remote server monitoring, right, in the remote server module, you can directly import that ticket creation, or directly import the query module basically. So queries module. And in the queries module, let me export our new ticketing context query. Perfect. And now in the monitoring service, you can very easily depend on that. So constructor, ticketing creation context, and now you don't have to, yeah, you have the context here. So in the context server and the ticket information. Okay, let me mark it async as well. Perfect. Now in this step, you are just calling a single method. Okay, and you are having all the server information, all the ticket information, right? And that information, you can decide like, do you want to proceed? Do you want to ask AI what sort of anomaly this is? If you have, if the server is properly connected, you can SSH into that server and solve that. And further step we will be taking, right? Like we'll be updating the ticket that maybe auto resolution is not possible, human intervention is needed, those kind of thing we will be performing here. But now setup is kind of done. Okay, so what are the changes we have made in the app module? We have created a new module called queries module. In the ticketing we have added these ticketing types. That's perfect. And on the remote server, we have added a new service called monitoring service, and we have added a whole new module called queries module. So let me add on by on. So queries module add. Okay, before that, let me add this one, ticketing service. So ticketing module index add. Perfect. Then we have added this queries thing. Queries module add. Perfect. And then we have added this monitoring service. So monitoring service add. Perfect. Now whenever I'm having this sort of dedicated query service, right, I do not even use the direct type ORM. I will be writing some raw SQL, super optimized raw SQL to find out this information, and I'll be just providing this information uh, to the whatever application that is needed, right? So yeah, we are in a good shape. In the next section we will be showing you like how you can get all this information from the database. Okay, now let's start with our queries, right? So we just added the signature here. In the ticket context query, we are just throwing an error key method not implemented, right? So let us actually implement the method. All right, so to do that, like we have to access the anomaly table, right? And you already know, like to access anything from type ORM, what you have to do is you have to do it like this. So in the import section, okay, type ORM from for feature, and let's just bring the anomaly one, right? And anomaly is coming from log analysis. That's perfect. So um, let's make it an async function. For now, let me remove this, otherwise TypeScript will keep yelling at me. So constant anomaly is equal to await this dot anomaly repo. We do not have any anomaly repo yet, so let's have this and inject anomaly. Perfect. Okay, so we are interested finding one anomaly, this dot anomaly repo. Let's call it only repo. Find on. Perfect. Okay, so in this situation, what we will be having is we will be having the anomaly, or if with the ID, if anomaly is not found, then it will just return null, right? And we will be executing this function inside in our application code, right? So for that reason, we do not want to like throwing anything. Like if you in the previous case, we have been using find or throw, but we just want to have like, if you don't find any anomaly, just give me null. That's okay. We will be handling that. So let me show you the query. That is, in the where clause, we're just passing an ID, that is we'll be searching with the anomaly ID, and we want to know about the remote server information as well. So how do you find that? You pass another object. Let me pass it like this. So you can see you can pass many things here. So there's a thing called relations, right? And you can pass an array of things like what you want inside your relation. So if I go into the anomaly entity, you can see there are some relations here, right? So many to one. Okay, so anomaly has a relation with many to one to log analysis job, and log analysis job has a relation to many to one with remote server. So we will be finding out like this. So in the relation, you take an object, right? An object, you can pass this log analysis job. If you want the whole job, then you can just put true here. That will give you the entire job. But we want to go in on more on layer deep. So you just have to pass a remote server like this. Okay. So this is how you can use the native JavaScript code to build the query, right, with TypeORM. But if you want, you can. There is a query builder inside TypeORM. You can use that as well if you want to write raw SQL queries. Perfect. Now we have our anomaly. Now we have to do a couple of checks. That is, if there is no anomaly, then we will be sending some sort of error. If there is no ticketing information, that will be sending a different sort of error. If there is, let's say we didn't find any SSH configuration, then we might send some different error. Okay. Now you have two or three options of handling this sort of error, right? You can um, have a separate error class, let's say um, class ticketing information info not found. Okay. And inside that, you can, like this anomaly not ticketing info, you can just throw that key ticketing info not found. Okay. And inside your wherever you are consuming this class, let's open that as well. So inside remote servers, we are having monitoring. So in the monitoring service, let me remove this part. Okay, and you can put inside a tricast block, and you can check the error from here. So if error is instance of ticketing not found error, then you handle the error in some fashion. That is one way of handling error. And obviously the first way is you do not handle the error, you just rely on the happy path. If the code breaks, it breaks, right? So that's the new way of doing things. But yeah, if you want to handle error, you have multiple choices. This is the first one, key you throw customized error, right? And there is some better way of handling things as well. So there's a very good library that is called never throw, right? I will be using this library. If you want to know more about these things, you know, like there's a guy called Kyle, right, in on YouTube. So let me just show you a video. So error handling web dev simplified. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if you want to like know more about these things, how to properly handle error, right, you should go with this video. And it will give you proper guidance on how you should handle your error, right? And I will be giving this link in the description as well. So let me copy the video URL, and let me create a note here. Just give me 1 second. All right. So you will find this link in the description. Okay. Perfect. So in that video, it has been suggested that you should use this never throw library, right? So we will be using this library. Okay. So let me show you just the signature. The main concept of that library is basically, instead of throwing an error, okay, you should always return some things like that. So it's like, let's say, interface okay response, and okay response type will be okay was uh, can be true. Okay, and the response results, and maybe result can be anything. Okay, and in the error response, okay will be false, and error may be in string. Okay, so in case of error, instead of throwing anything, you will be like, if there is no anomaly, you just return this error response. So you can have a function like this key. um, let's build the first error one. So error will be any string, and it will just give an error response, right? So you can do it like this: error anomaly not found. Or in case of you find everything, you're happy with the code base code setup, then you just return maybe another function called okay, and inside that okay you pass whatever result you want to pass, right? So this is the main concept. Now wherever you are accessing this function, you can just have this context, or you will be calling this response. You don't need this try catch block, right? So inside the result you will be having two things now. The first one is, with this okay flag you can check like the result is successful or not. If there is that is okay flag, TypeScript will by default give you result. Okay, result will be available. But if you are giving error response, then by default, like if okay is equal to false, then result will be undefined and uh, error will get populated, right? And TypeScript will handle this for you. So this is the main concept. Let me remove these things, and we will be using the dedicated library never throw. So let me copy this name as well, and it will make sense, right? It's not that complicated. So pnpm install never throw. Perfect. Now inside never throw, we are having that same response thing. So I'm bringing never throw. So okay and error, right? So in case of no anomaly, we are just returning no anomaly found. If anomaly not ticket info, then we'll be passing ticketing info not found, right? If that is not the case, then we can just build the result here, ticketing context, and for the ticket, we just pass all the ticketing info. Why this is yelling at me? And this ticketing info should be coming as ticket, if you remember correctly, right? So let me bring the ticket from there. Still, it's not happy because description is mandatory here, but in the ticket, description can be optional. Perfect. That's okay. You can remove this type and just relying on the ticket type as well. Like I'm explicitly mentioning that, but it's up to you. If you want, you can just directly mention this ticket type. That's okay as well. And in the server, we want to pass a couple of things. That is configured. Is configured is basically if the connection is configured properly or not, right? So what I'm thinking, let me open the remote server entity and let's have a new field. Okay, the new field we can call it key um, is connection configured. Okay, and this will be a new column. By default it will be false, right? So from this is connection configured, we will get to know key if the remote connection is properly configured or not. Okay, so is connection configured, let us call it here as well. Is connection configured? Again guys, if you want, you can have this explicit typing, right? Or if you do not want to have this explicit typing, you can just return the entities. That's also fine. Let us do that. Let us simplify the code. Okay, but for some of the case you have to do the explicit typing. For this scenario, it's okay to just send this no, let's keep that because yeah, you will give some context. So yeah, is uh, configured. That is in that situation it will be like anomaly. Let me extract out that first. Anomaly.log analysis.remote server. And yeah, you can throw another error here. So if no remote server, then you are just throwing server not found. Okay, so then server dot is configured. Perfect. And the SSS configuration, you just pass server.configuration adds SSS configuration. And this SSS configuration interface we should not have here. We will be having a different type of domain logic for this as well, but that will be coming in later section. So let me just hard code this for now. Okay, let me remove this as well. And yeah, finally we will be just sending this okay result, right? And passing the result here. Okay, perfect. Now inside the monitoring service, the result, whatever result you are having, you can just call. There is a method called on this result. There's a method called result.isError. So you can check like if there is any error, then you can just handle the error here with different switch statement, right? Or if there is no error or is okay, right, then now you're having this inside this response there is a thing called value, and inside the value you will be having that ticket and the server, and handle the logic. Okay, perfect. So there's some more sophisticated methods inside never throw as well. You can use those. So let me just show you. So there is a thing called from promise, right? So if you are using this from promise thing, then what you can do is from promise will take two functions, right, as an argument. The first one is whatever promise you are passing. So basically if you call this anomaly report find on, that will return you a promise, right? So you can pass that promise. And the second parameter is if that promise is getting rejected, or if you are like handling, if you are having any error while calling this find repo anomaly report find on, then what you want to do, that error handling function, right? And you can chain different method with that from promise, right? You can handle the result like this. So let me show you, it will make sense, and it will make our code little cleaner as well. So let me cut the whole thing, right? Let me have this from promise. So in the from promise I'm pasting that, and if I'm having any sort of error, let's just call it a database error, because this will be an unknown error, right? And let me return that. And you can map different things with this. So that is and then we'll just receive this anomaly, right? So you'll be having the anomaly, perfect. And let me cut the whole thing. Okay, and let me paste it here. All good. So what we are saying, key resolve this promise. So if you have this from promise function, right? So it will first resolve this promise. If this promise is rejected, then it will just return this database error, right? And otherwise, it will just return anomaly not found, ticketing info not found, or server not found. And in case of everything is good, it will just return the result. Okay, now where you are consuming this function, right? Everything is same. You can avoid this, like whatever result you are getting, you can avoid this. Or there's another way, let me show that to you as well. That is, there's a method called match, right? You can have this match method, and match method is expecting two function. The first function is how you are handling the value, and the second function is how you are handling the error, right? So inside this function now you can have the ticket and the server. Do the logic, right? And inside that handle the error. Okay, now inside this block, like there cannot be, like it's not possible to have an error. Like your application will not throw any unknown thing, right? Whatever you are having here, there will be a proper ticketing data and a proper remote server data. right? So this is the benefit of never throw, and it's not a very complicated library. Like if you go through that video, you will be able to build your own never throw if you want. But yeah, a never throw is giving some more functionality as well, like this match, and there's a thing called and then map. Those functionalities are very um, useful. Okay, so if you want, there are many methods, right? You should go through this documentation of this npm documentation for never throw, and you will get to know. Right, perfect. Now let me show you some error handling part as well. So generally, you should have a switch statement like this: error, right? And you can have different case statement. And this is typeset. All right, there's a problem. You can see the error is coming as string, right? That's because TypeScript does not know, like, are you returning some random string, or these are some fixed string? And there's a new TypeScript operator with that you can easily fix it. You can just mention these strings are constant. Okay, and in that manner TypeScript will know, like, whenever you are calling this error and whatever error string you are passing, that is kind of fixed. You are not passing any random string. Now if I pass anything random here, it is giving us some error. Okay, and you are getting this auto completion as well. You know the error can be only these four types. Okay, there's some more techniques, like on the default part, you can just console unknown error, and error satisfies never. Okay, so if I keep explaining these things, then this video will get very long. So I'm not going into too deep. You can go through Kyle's video for this. Okay, so for now, we are not, as this is an event handler, we are not handling any error. If you want, you can handle the error. But yeah, in future we might do that. But for now, let's focus on this ticket and the server. So we have the ticketing information, we have the server information. Now it's our job, if we want to connect to that server, do some SSS action to resolve the issue, or do you want to uh, just update the ticket? Okay, so that will be the next step. So let us do a quick commit. Okay, we have added a new library. Add never throw TISR Tableau. Oh God. Yeah. Okay, we want to amend that as well. Perfect. All right, let us write some test for this ticket creation context query, right? So that we know like everything is working properly or not. Now, the first option you are having is you can write some unit test. But for this type of queries, writing unit test almost does not make any sense. Okay. There are very little logic here. Okay. So nothing to unit test. Basically, you will be running some complex SQL queries. So this is a perfect candidate for an integration test. Now, what's an integration test? You were already familiar with end-to-end test. We have written some tests, right? Integration tests are almost similar, but the only problem is it is smaller than like end-to-end test. Um, you will only be testing a single or one or two classes maybe. Okay, but whatever feature, whatever external API and external resources you are using, you will be, instead of mocking that, like instead of mocking 100% of those features, you will be sometimes you will be using the actual database maybe, or the external endpoint, right? So in this situation, we are writing some complex SQL queries. Right now I'm using directly from the type ORM, but yeah, if you are going with the query builder, then you will be writing some complex SQL queries, and it is a very good practice to spin up a in memory SQLite server maybe, or test Postgres instance and test the queries. Like first you set the database. Setting means like you will be putting some fake data in the database, right? Then you will be querying the data, and you can check like if your queries are working properly or not. Okay, so this is what we are going to be doing here as well. So let me create a new file called ticket creation context. query dot integration dot test or spec.ts. Okay, I don't know I have written the integration spelling properly or not. Let me just check. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so in this file, we will be writing all of our integration test for this query. Let me collapse this and let's start. So let's have a describe block, ticket creation context query, and let me add the integration test as well. Okay, the first thing is we will be bringing out the query. So let us just declare that. And to seed the database, we will be directly using this data source. Now, data source is basically coming from, like, if I go to type ORM, right, get started, and this is the data source. Now, inside NestJS, we are not directly accessing the data source, but if you're using type ORM, like inside any other sort of project, let's say in Express or something like that, you will be configuring the data source by yourself and you will be getting the repository out of that data source. Okay, there are multiple methods and we are planning to use this data source directly, right, in our test. So let me bring the data source from type orm, and now you can see for the end-to-end test, we have already configured this, right, type orm, like this test database module, and we are having in memory dataset. Okay, now for end-to-end test, these auto load entities are fine, right? So for end-to-end test, every line, every file will be accessed from the test runner and it will find all the entities. But for an integration test, we are just running a single file, and this file will import a couple of more files maybe, right? So it will not be able to find all the entities, right? So for that reason, this auto load entities true will not work, right? So instead of auto load entities, let me do one thing. Let me just have the entities and let me bring all the entities here. Okay, this is on way of passing things as well. So the first thing we want to do is we want to bring the anomaly entity. Then we are having long analysis job entity. Okay, let me bring that as well. Remote server entity. Okay, inside remote server, we're not having an index file. Let's have that first. Index.ts. Let me export everything. And finally, the log source entity. For log source also, we're not having a top level index file. That's bad. Now let's give it a save. The only change we did is from the autoload entities, we are just explicitly mentioning the entities. And in production, this is a good practice as well, right? You should not autoload your entities. So now let me just quickly run an end-to-end test to check, like, if we have broken this database module test database module or not. Yeah, all the tests are getting passed. Now if I forget to include any entity, let's say I remove this log source entity, now it should yell at us. Yeah, you can see we are having some unable to connect to the database, like all those error. Okay, perfect. Let me put back that log source. Okay, now when we are arranging this module, our testing module, uh, let me bring this testing framework from Nest. We are creating the testing module. We are putting the provider. Now, when we are putting the provider, we can pass the import statement as well, right? And in the import statement, we are going to be passing the test database module, database test module. Yeah. After each test, if we want to destroy the data source, because we will be putting some random data here, right? And yeah, let's have a should define test first. And data source has to be defined as well. Okay, now how do I run this integration test, right, in isolation? You already know that, like, for end-to-end test, we did some configuration, right? We will be doing the same thing um, for integration test as well. So let me copy this thing and let me just put vtest integration config.ts, perfect, and just update it here. Key once you are having any integration test, the file name should end with integration.respect.ts. That's fine. Okay, that's good. And inside our package.json, let us add a new integration test as well. Okay, and the config we are using is vtest integration.config.ts. Perfect. Let me just run the integration test now. So test integration, and it is finding a single file, and we are having some error here. So anomaly repository at index is again the NestJS error. So okay, we have in the provider, we have to provide that this thing as well. So in the module you can see, like, we are importing type ORM4 feature, right? So in the not in the provider, in the import we have to do it like this. So this is the actual anomaly repository we are bringing, right? So now if I run the test, yeah, it is defined. Now let us try to seed our database. Now seeding means, like, we will be putting some fake data inside the database, right? Now how to do that? Let me show you. So let me have some execution context here. Okay, so there is a method inside data source called get repository. Okay, and when you are passing this, no, type orm.for feature, and you are passing all these things, you are basically under the hood, it is calling this get repository, right? And you can pass a class here, entity class, and let me pass the anomaly class here, right? So this will be the repo, data source.get repository. Now you can put different things. So repo.save, like, you know all these methods, right? So now you are having type safety as well. Okay, so under the hood we will be having some helper class, helper factory methods, you can say, like, right, we will be having a folder called testing maybe, and inside that we will be having some factory class key, create anomaly, create uh, mm, remote server, create log source, create job, right? And throughout the test, whenever we're testing, if we have to quickly generate some data for the database, real data, we'll be just calling those, right? So this is the option number two, and option number one, and option number two can be, you can have a function here to set the database, or for every test you can set the database, you can save data, right? So let me show you, like, when I was doing the testing inside my sandbox, I have actually created all those factory functions with the help of AI, right? We will be using that directly. So let me show you the prompt first. So this is the prompt I have given. Yeah, you can see it's becoming tedious to write all this setting mechanism. Can you help me write some helpers, right? And it has created a two or three, 3 or 4 files, right? And yeah, it will make sense. Let me just git check out. So, and the file name is testing, I guess, right? So it will be source inside. Let me mention the branch name first, sandbox. And the file was um, source testing. By the way, this is the command, like, from any other branch. If you want to bring a single file or a folder, then you can pass this command, git checkout the branch name you want to pull it from, right? And then this double dash and the file path. Okay, so yeah, this is the testing module we have created. So inside these we will be having all of our testing helpers, you can say. So for now we are having a couple of factories. So we are just re-exporting these from here, right? So in the factories, let's say let's open this anomaly factory. So we are just passing the data source, right? We are calling the repo. Sorry, we are creating the repo, and then we are checking like if you are passing the log analysis job or not. If you're not, then we are creating the log analysis job, right? And then we are just saving that. And by the way, I'm using a library called Faker. I don't know have already shown you this library or not. Let me quickly install that. And Faker is basically Faker.js is basically it can give you some random fake data on demand. Okay, so yeah, these are all the factory. If you want, you can create this by hand as well, but I took the help from AI. By the way, we have created a interesting file as well that is called object graph, right? Object graph is not, like it's a fancy term for creating multiple entities that are depending on each other. So for example, in our situation, when you are having an anomaly, to create an anomaly you must have a log analysis job, right? And to have a log analysis job, you must have a server, remote server. So in the graph, we are doing the same thing. Okay, so we can just call this a create server graph, and you can just pass how many servers you need, right? And what will be the jobs for that, and inside that jobs order or how many animals you want. Okay, those kind of things you can pass from here, and I'll be showing you like how to use this feature as well. Okay, so these are some standard testing utility features, right? I'm not doing anything new here. Like if you see any production grade application, when they are writing test, inside every test they won't be calling those functions, right? They will be extracting out all those boring logic in a utility functions maybe, and we are writing a couple of utility functions. That's it. Okay, perfect. And let us use those. So in our integration test, should be defined is fine. Let me have the next test. Yeah, we are calling no anomaly. Let's just pass an random anomaly key, anomaly ID one. Okay, and result. First, we are expecting result.easy error to be true, and let's do it like this. There's a method called unsafe unwrap, right? So if you are calling this unsafe unwrap, it will just directly return you that string for the error, like whatever string you are having, right? You don't have to first check this easy error or all those never throw stuff. Okay, so let me give it a save, and let me run this test again. Pin test integration. Yeah, it's getting passed. Perfect. Okay, now let me have the second test. It should return ticket info not found when anomaly has no ticket. Yes, we want to do that. So anomaly, we are creating an anomaly. Let's have the factory here, right? And when you are having the anomaly, we just want to pass these are all those overrides, right? We already know, and this will be undefined. Or if you do not pass anything, by default it's undefined as well. But yeah, we want to explicitly mention that that's undefined. Perfect. Now you execute the anomaly ID, and now it should just give you ticketing info not found, and that is getting passed as well. Okay, it should return server not found when. So we are again creating the anomaly, and remote server undefined. Okay, will it work? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it should not work. Anyway, let me use that graph now. create server graph, right? And inside that, you can, the first parameter you have to pass the data source, obviously. Then you can pass the server information, okay, and the job information as well. So we are creating a single job with anomalies count is 1, right? And let me have this job and the server here. Perfect. And this will be, hmm. And before that, let us just remove that server basically, right? So how do you remove that? You just call data source dot get repository remote server. And it should give you an error because like if you're having the log analysis job, and log analysis job have a foreign key with this remote server, right? So if you try to delete this remote server, I don't know SQLite will throw an error or not, but in a proper database setup it should give you an error key. uh, SQLite sorry, the foreign key constant error. Okay, but yeah, let's try to delete the server. And if we do not have the server, then after executing the queries, it should send you this server not found error. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can see SQLite is also giving you this error. Foreign key constraint failed because you cannot delete this. Okay, before you delete all those jobs. And yeah, that's kind of an error because we will try to delete this remote server, right? So the best way of doing that is you can actually cascade delete. Okay, so uh, once we are here, let me update that as well, otherwise that will be problematic for us. Okay, so we are having log analysis job, and let me have the log analysis job entity and remote server, and let me have on delete cascade. Okay, so if you are removing the remote server, you should delete this what do you call, delete this log analysis job as well. Let me go into the anomaly section, and on the anomaly section it's fine, we are having this on cascade. Now also it will not work because you have added removed this remote server, that kind of cascade that had a cascade effect, and it removed the job, right? And job had a cascade effect as well, it removed all the anomalies for that job, so it is giving you anomaly not found. So that is telling us key we do not need to have this check. So let me open the query, and this is kind of redundant, we will never be reaching this step. Okay, so let me remove that. Let me go back to our, let me remove this server part as well. Okay. Now let us just check the happy path. It should return ticket creation context. Let me have the server and the ticket here. Let me pass a ticket. Okay, we can do it like this as well. Let's use the satisfy keyword. Satisfy ticket. Let me bring the ticket from ticketing and create a that. Let's have faker dot past it the date dot past and updated that. Perfect. We're having the ticket, and when we're creating the job anomaly, instead of passing the count, let me just passing the ticket information here. Anomalies. Okay, perfect. Why this is not happy? Cannot redeclare block scope variable ticket. Okay, here we are redeclaring that's why it is not happy. Perfect. So what I'm expecting, you do result.unzip.ticket object contain not to equal, I guess. Let's not test this yet. So when inside this expecting result.answerwrap, we are having the ticket and we are checking. It will faker package problem. Okay. Let's do anything. And now we can just do context or ticket to match objects. And from ticket, we have to let me pass the ticket. Okay. And the created at and updated at we're not passing, right? So let me just pass undefined here, and updated as should be undefined as well. Let me explicitly mention here. Am I passing any SSS configuration when creating the data source? Let me pass the server configuration as well. Yeah, this is working now. Constant SSS configuration. Perfect. Okay, so we are testing everything with our integration test, and whatever we need for the ticket context query, right? We can bring everything. All right, perfect. Let me quit out from the test, and let's do a commit. So we did a lot of changes. Yeah, the first one is we have added a couple of test factory. So test utils add, nice. Then we are changing the database test module entity explicit mention. And then in the log analysis job, we have added this cascade thing, log job cascade delete with remote server. Then we are adding this index thing inside log source as well as the remote server. Top level index add. Okay. And finally, we are bringing this testing feature, right? Integration test add. Okay. And let me add this pnpm log in the previous comment as well. And finally, we have added ticket creation context query add test 2. Okay. All right. Let us start with our next step. Now we have to take some action, right? Based on the ticket creation. So we have all of our ticket data, server data, everything is in our hands, right? So I'm talking about this step. So I have created this flow chart, you can call it, right? And let's understand what is our plan. Okay. So the first thing is we are done with the query. So once the ticket is getting created, that will fire an event handler, right? And in the event handler, we are getting the ticket information, ticket title, ticket description, and also the server status, right? If we can SSH into the server or not. So we have that information. Okay. Now The first step we will be doing is we will be asking, uh, yeah, we will be asking the AI or the LLM model that this is our ticketing title, ticketing description. Basically, this is the information we have. What do you think? Do you think that we can resolve that this ticket automatically with the maybe SSS agent? That agent will go into the server, run some SSS shell command, and resolve the issue. And this is the first step. It can automatically resolve the issue. The second possibility can be automatic resolution is not possible. You need some sort of human intervention, but I can give you some guide on how to resolve the ticket. Like I can provide some resolution notes, right? So we will first analyze the ticketing data. Let me see if I can have a laser pointer here. Okay, so first we will be analyzing the ticketing data with the LLM, right? There can be two branch from there can resolve without human intervention. So if that's the case, then we will be calling that remote server agent. We will be building that agent shortly, right? And that agent will first check like if it can successfully establish an SSS connection or not. If that's the case and it is able to resolve the ticket, then we will be just marking the ticket as resolved. But if it does not resolve the ticket, or if it could not resolve the ticket, then again we will be just updating the resolution notes. I couldn't update the ticket, but these are the steps a human can take to resolve the ticket. Okay, and the second flow is LLM is by going through the ticketing data, ticketing title description, LLM is suggesting key you must need some human intervention, right? Then we will be just updating the ticket. First, we will be asking the AI or LLM to produce some resolution notes, right? Key follow this step to resolve the ticket, and finally we will be again updating the resolution notes with this step. All right. So I believe whatever plan we are having that's clear, and now we just have to implement that. All right. Let us open our code quickly. And from the previous discussion, you understood that we need some sort of LLM support, right? To decide on the ticket part and also to generate the resolution text, right? So I will be using a library. Let me show you the library first. That is AI SDK, right? So this is also from Vercel, if you know Vercel, like the inventor of Next.js, right? So the same team has created this AI toolkit for TypeScript that is called AI SDK. And then we will be installing this AI and I will be giving you a little description on how. And this is a very simple library, right? You will be just calling a simple one or two function to generate object, if generate text, stream that text back to the front end if you need that, those kind of things, right? And if you want you can go through the documentation, but still we will be having a playground sort of things, right? And I will give you a step by step tutorial on how to use AI SDK. Okay, so let us go to the docs, and the first thing we want to click on this get started. You can choose your framework if you want, but I just want to see the raw version, like we are using Node.js, and show me how to use it with Node.js. Okay, so it is suggesting that these are all folder creation or all those things. So it is suggesting that you need these libraries, right? So we do not need any development dependency for now because we have already installed these things, right? So let us, you can see the package name, it is AI. Okay, so let us install all these things. Perfect. And now inside remote servers we were having this monitoring section. By the way, in the monitoring service, you remember, if you remember correctly, we were having this function, right? And inside this function, we'll be having all this logic. So before going into this function, let me open the test. Right now, we don't have anything in the test, but yeah, we will be having an execution context to to learn the functionality of AI SDK, right? So let's call it learn AI SDK. Okay, and it will be a long running test. So let me increase the timeout for it as well. Perfect. Let me bring AI SDK from the top. So there is a function called generate text. First, I will be showing you this one, this generate text one, and it's pretty simple. And you have to pass a couple of required parameters. The first one is model, right? What is the model you want to use? Do you want to go with OpenAI? Do you want to go with Claude? Uh, any other Olama self-hosted model maybe? But I will be generating an OpenAI API key, and for this video I'll be showing you that. If you want to generate for yourself as well, it might you might have to give them $5. But yeah, if you spend five bucks, it is more than enough to basically test all these things, right? To basically call the OpenAI endpoint and try different things. To do that, the first thing is you need to go to this website, platform.openai. If you want to go with Claude, you can do that as well. So platform.openai, inside settings organization, there is a thing called API keys, right? You can see I have currently having multiple API keys, and let's create a new one. And this is secret, okay? I will be deleting this once the video is completed. But yeah, you should keep it secret. Do not commit this into GitHub or anything. So you have to select a project. I'm only having a single project called default project, and create secret key. And you have to copy this because this is the one time you can see your secret key, right? If you close this model, then you have to generate a new one. So I have copied that. Let me go back to my code, and on the top level, let me just have a .env file. Okay, and OpenAI API key. I guess this is the name I have to. I will double check like what should be the variable name. To use OpenAI, you have to install a second library. So if you go to AI SDK docs and this provider section, you can see it supports almost all the providers, right? So let us select this OpenAI, and you can see you have to install another dependency called AI SDK / OpenAI, right? So let's install that. Okay. Now you can just bring OpenAI like this, and you can directly use this OpenAI. Just pass the model name here, right? So GPT-4 or mini, I guess, fine. And you have to pass a prompt as well. So let's call it what's the capital of France, maybe. Perfect. But if you want to directly pass this API key, then there is a function called create OpenAI, right? So you can just do it like this. OpenAI is equal to create OpenAI, and you can pass the API key here. What am I doing here? Okay. But if you do not pass any API key, by default, this OpenAI library will look into your environment variable, right? If you remember correctly, we have installed this .env package, right? So it will look for the .env file inside the top level in your like where you are running the code, right, in your current working directory. And if it finds that .env file, it will look for a special kind of API key, okay, a special kind of variable name. So let us find out the variable name. So yeah, OpenAI API key. So API key is being sent using the authorization header. So if you want, you can directly send the API key. It defaults to the OpenAI API key environment variable. So let me copy the exact name. Let me go to our .env, and it will be like this. Okay, then you don't have to call this create OpenAI or anything. It will by default do it for you. All right, so let me just console log the results so that you can see what are the things you are getting here. Let me run the test, and let me pass this filtering flag as well. Okay, there are some nest error. That is, we have to pass this useMocker. Yeah, still it is getting failed because it cannot find the environment variable, right? Because in the testing environment, you have to do it in a different way. We are not running the actual Nest server, so it cannot read the .env file, right? So to do that, let's do a special thing. So when you are running the test, if you need any secret, so how I do it is I create another environment variable like this .env. Let me copy this and I will be renaming that, no problem. .env and then .test. Okay, and make sure you are putting that inside the git ignore as well. Let me put everything. So .env. No, let's do it like this. Test. Perfect. So this is inside the git ignore. Now, if you remember, we were having this vtest setup file, right? And the whole purpose of this file was like before running any test, we want to run whatever we're having inside this file, right? So let me import a function from .env called config, and you can config call this config function, and you can pass a path, and the path will be .env.test. So this is nothing to do with Nest, OpenAI, or anything. This is simple node stuff. This is a very famous library .env, right? And how do you load any environment variable? You just call this config, right? And you pass the path. And if you do not pass any path, by default it will look for .env. Okay, but we want to load the .env.test. Perfect. Let's give it a save. Okay, we are getting some response. So ignore the steps things. In the output, you can see the capital of France is Paris. You are getting that, and some uses for information like what are the tokens you are using, how many output tokens. Tokens are basically it's almost similar to odd later, right? But not exactly. So this is the like 1 2 3 4 5 6 words I'm passing, and that is consuming 14 tokens. And this is the response they are giving, and that is consuming 8 tokens. Right, so all kinds of information you can find here, and the most important part when you are calling this generate text you want to see is this text variable. Right, so let me give it a save and run it again, and now you can see the capital of France is Paris. Okay, so you can pass whatever prompt you want. There is a system message as well, so you can pass a system message. I'm not going into the deep of this system message prompt. Prompt is basically like, like whatever you were asking to the AI, you can just pass in the prompt. And system message is like if you want to set any context, then you put that context inside the system message. Like you are an IT engineer model, maybe you are an IT engineer agent, you are you are a ticket resolver. Those kind of things you can put inside the system message. You can put different guardrail that do not try to maybe uh, give any other answer other than IT related stuff. Those kind of things you can put inside system message. Okay, clear. So yeah, inside this generate text, you can pass a system message. There are many other functionalities with AI. The most important one, and I just love this feature. Okay, there's a thing called generate object, and that is deprecated for now. You can uh, let me just show you generate object. It will make sense. Then I will be showing you how you can use, like on the last release they have deprecated this generate object. You can achieve the same functionality with generate text as well, right? So let me call this generate object. Let me remove this. Same thing, you have to pass the model. Okay, and then you have to pass this schema, and it has to be a jod schema. I hope you're familiar with jod. So let's say when you are calling the generate text, right, it is just giving you simple plain text. Okay, maybe you can ask for a JSON, and then you can pass that JSON to extract out the object. But if you are calling this generate object, then you will be able to generate any direct JavaScript object, and this is type shape. Okay, so now You can say give me a random name and edge. And in the object, let me edit that. Let me call it result or response. All right. So you can see you are having a JavaScript object. Okay. And this is super powerful. So you can just pass like the ticketing information here, and on the schema, you can just have it like this, and that will be z dot boolean. Okay. And pretend this is ticketing information, and you can have the reason here as well. Let me give it a save. Let's see what it. Yeah, should go forward true. The ticketing information clearly outlined and provide essential details for the event. Anyway, so you got my idea. Like we will in the prompt, we will be passing the ticketing title and the description, and we will be asking AI, should we go forward with the agentic flow, or should we just update the ticket with the steps? Right. So nowadays they don't like they are deprecating this generate object. So let me show you the exact same feature with generate text. That is, let me bring generate text, and instead of passing the schema, there is a thing called output. Okay, and on the output part, you have to, I guess, like this. Yeah, output dot object, and then you can pass this. So let me cut it. Schema, and let me paste it here. Okay, it will just give you the exact same results. Now inside the response output, you will be having your object, and this is typeset as well. You can see. Okay, so let me remove the generate object from here. And so this is the signature we will be using. And basically, the AI SDK team is suggesting us to do, right? So if you want to generate simple text, call this. Do not pass any output schema. Or if you are passing any output schema, you mention that key on the output. You need some array, choice, JSON, object, whatever you want, or text. By default, it's text, right? So we are just passing this object, and object is how what would be the structure of that object. We are passing that schema here. All right, so let me give it a save, and let me show you like it is also working or not. Yeah, you can see it is working just fine. So yeah, in our code we'll be heavily using this generate text with this output feature. I didn't use any of the other thing. I can yeah, I think if you are using object, then you can create this as well. Anyway, I believe this is pretty simple. So yeah, we have learned about AI SDK. Now let us get back to our plan, and we will try to implement all the features that we need. All right. Let us do a quick commit. Let's see what are the things we have changed. We won't be using this. This is just for the playground. And git ignore. We have added this env.test, and we installed the library. Okay, and we are loading this test configuration environment variable as well. So let's do a commit regarding that, and let's call it, okay, add test env and AI SDK. Hit commit, and this file, I guess we can just ignore. Okay, because or let's keep this file. We'll be coming into this later. All right, whatever test we have written so far, right? We do not need that. I have just written that just to show you like how AI SDK is working, right? So let me go to Git, and let us revert back. So whatever we are having in the initial phase, that's fine, right? Now inside the monitoring service, the first thing I want to do is whatever I am doing here, right? I do not like this setup, like I'm calling match and then I'm calling two functions. Instead of that, let me declare this. So response await this dot ticket creation context query execute, and let us directly pass this dot anomaly ID. Why this is not happy? Okay, and let me remove all these things. Now, if there is any error, I'm just returning. Or if that's not the case, then we will be having some value here, right? So I'm just destructuring the value, and I'm having the ticket and the server. Okay, so that's good. Now inside this monitoring service, I know that I will need two things, right? The first thing is I will need some sort of LLM support, right? And as we have discussed that we will be using AI SDK. So we will need LLM to basically decide, like based on the ticket data, should we go forward or not. Okay. And the second thing is we will need some sort of SSH agent. Okay, so that we can establish a connection between the remote server and our application server, and we can publish some command to uh, fix the issue, right? So we need two services, the LLM and the SSH. Now, if you want, you can directly use the AI SDK. Like you can import like this from AI. You can import generate text. But I really do not like this approach. Like in the future, like these libraries are kind of under very active development, right? And in the future, I might not use AI SDK. I might use Llama Index or LangChain. In that situation, I have to like change everywhere. So what I want to do is I will just treat this LLM thing a service. Okay, I will treat it like an infrastructure, and I will basically encapsulate the whole logic, right? And I will export a service layer, and whatever like inside my domain, whatever things that make sense, I will be exposing those functions, those methods like generate text, generate object. Okay, and I will be calling those, not directly calling the AI SDK or any other third party libraries, and it will make sense. Let me show that to you. So in my Nest app, let me create a new module, Nest generate module, and I'm calling it LLM. Okay. And let's create a new service called LLM as well inside the LLM module. So Nest generate service LLM. Perfect. So it has created a new directory here. You can see, right? And inside the module, we're having this LLM service. And I will be coming back to this spec later. Now, inside this LLM service, we want to have couple of methods like generate text. Okay, for now, I'm just throwing an error, key method not implemented. And let me have an interface called generate text params. And we are expecting that you will be passing a prompt and a system message. And the system message is kind of optional, right? And we will be having a generate object params as well that will just extends this generate text params. Let me export this as well. I might use this in some other places. And the schema for now, it can be zod.zod type. Okay, and when you are passing the when you need a new object, you have to pass a join schema, and based on the schema, uh, we can generate the object, right? So let me do it like this: generate object, and let me expect the param here. Now this function here it will just return the promise string. That's fine, and but here it will return like whatever schema you are passing, right? Now how to do that? For that we have to use TypeScript generic. Now this is how you can use generic, right? So instead of fixing this jot type, let me have a generic here called t extend jot type, and that will be schema type of t. And inside the function also we can have it like this. Yeah, it is giving me auto completion. So t extend jot type, and the parameter is we are passing whatever we are passing here, right? And we are saying key this variable, whatever TypeScript variable we are declaring here, that will be like if you know Jod library, right? If you call this Jod.infer and if you pass a Jod schema, then it will just give you that schema type. Okay. So if this does not make any sense to you, just go ahead and look for TypeScript generic, ask ChatGPT, or you can go through the documentation as well. Just give it a read and it will make sense. It's a TypeScript variable kind of thing, right? Let me show you how this will work. So let's say let me instantiate this class. Maybe LLM is equal to new LLM service. Now if I call LLM dot generate object, right, and I have to pass this prompt and a schema. Okay, and a schema is like this is the schema I'm passing. So after that, if I call then here and whatever response I'm having, inside the response, if I take any option, you can say I'm having age and name, right? So these are some little TypeScript magic. Okay, but for now method not implemented, this is fine, but we can like inside our function, inside our other class, monitoring class, we can use this LLM, and it's completely abstracted out or encapsulated, right? So that we do not care like how you are giving me this generic text. Like you can have any implementation here. We are having an interface kind of thing here, right? And we can swap out different implementation basically. Let me have an index file as well, and I will be just exporting everything from LLM service. So the LLM part is done. Let me close all the editors, and now I want to have another service called SSH service, and let's create that inside this remote server, because without remote server context, we don't need SSH outside of remote server, right? So for that reason, I'm just creating that inside this directory, you can say. So let me open this inside the integrated terminal and nest generate service, and let's call it SSH. Perfect. We're having the service, and inside the SSH service also, let me just have a execute command. Maybe that's fine, and let me have the interface here as well. And you have to pass the SSH connection first, and then the command. Okay, then you want to the command you want to perform basically. Okay, perfect. Now inside the remote server, what we can do is, yeah, inside the remote server, it has automatically imported this SSH service. That's good. Like it has registered this as a provider, and we need to have the LLM service. We have to import that because this is coming from a different module, right? LLM module. Perfect. And from this monitoring service, we will need another thing that is like from this ticketing module, we need a separate type of method that is called update ticket, right? So let me have that as well. So update ticket, and this is good. So you have to pass the ticket ID, and you can only update title, description, and status. That's good. Perfect. And let me export the ticketing service as well from here. And inside this remote server module, we need this ticketing module as well. So ticketing module. But yeah, let me export the module part as well. Ticketing module. Perfect. All right. Now let us open our monitoring service. And inside the monitoring service, the first thing we need is the LLM. Second thing, we need the SSH. And third thing is the ticketing service, because we want to update the ticket. Right. Now, in case of error, if you want, you can console log something maybe, right? But if our code reaches this line number 29, then we know that we will be having a ticket and a server, right? So let's do some magic here now. In this step, what I want to do is I will start using different LLM model to generate the code, right? and we have been doing some coding as well with LLM. And to prepare this, as I have already mentioned, that I'm preparing whatever I'm showing here. First, I'm preparing that in a sandbox. So I have ran some prompts through cursor, right, and it has given me some code. Let me first show you what is the prompt I was running. So yeah, this is the prompt I was running. Key, I'm having the service. Okay, remote server service X spec. I was going with some TDD approach. So the first thing I asked is there's a monitoring server service spec, right? So I asked is to create all the unit tests. Okay, so first, what I did is I was mentioning the steps that I want. Key, first ask LM if the ticket is resolvable with SSH or not. If that is the case, then resolve the ticket, update the ticket status, and make a resolution note that ticket has been updated. That's the first step. Then I have written key. If that is not the case, if you cannot resolve it with SSH connection, then just have a resolution note for the human and update the ticket status accordingly, or update the ticket description. So I had a to do kind of thing like this. Okay, and I asked the LLM, like I asked Claude Sonnet 4.6 key, go through this whatever I'm having here, right, and implement everything. Okay, and first I ask it to complete the unit test and then the actual implementation, right? So and I have also used a special kind of thing called skill.md. So this is skill is kind of like when you are using this sort of LLM, right, in the prompt you can pass different instruction key whenever you are writing unit test maybe, or whenever you are creating any entity. These are the steps you should follow, these are the things you should not do. Okay, so those kind of steps you can put inside a markdown file, and whenever you are running any sort of agent inside this cursor or codex or cloud code, it will go through those skill, right, and it will find out the relevant skill. That when it is writing unit test, it will find out unit test related skill, right, and it will find out all of your instruction there. Okay, and it will just generate the code according to your instruction, so that it follows your architecture, and in the prompt every time you're not explaining the entire story, right? So that is kind of skill, and you should know about these things now. There are another file called agent.md, or previously it was cursor rules. Okay, so yeah, when you are using this sort of vibe coding tools, you should know about these files. So I have generated a skill.md file as well, inside this branch that is not present. So let me bring all those things, and it will make sense. So the two things I will bring, the first one is the skill part. Let me first bring the skill, and then I will be bringing this test and monitoring service, because I'm not writing by my hand, because I have generated that from LLM. If I give the prompt, it will generate it again, but yeah, I do not want to waste any token for now. So as I have mentioned previously, key, you can check out any file or folder, right? So git checkout from the sandbox. I just want to check out this. There's a directory called .agent on the top level, right? So let me open it in the top level, and it was agents. So this is the agents, and whenever you are having some skills, you need to inside the .agents, you will be having a skills directory, right? Then you will be having a folder called whatever you want to call your skill, right? Then in this exact naming convention using all capital letter, you will be having skill.md, right? And on the top, this is called, like inside the md file, markdown file, you can have a YAML front matter, this is called, right? So you can have some front matter, and front matter is just key value pair, right? And cursor is suggesting that name should match your directory name, right? And you give some proper description. So the first thing the LLM agent will do is it will go through this front matter, right? And from the front matter, it will get some idea that whatever task I'm running, should I use this skill or not? If it is happy with the skill, if it needs the skill to run the agent, then it will look through the content, and I'm just giving some instruction key. I'm using vtest. We are having a global mock. So do not auto import anything, right? And I'm giving some core principle, right? Only test the business logic, and in case of unit test, mock everything. Those kind of things I'm mentioning, and also like how we are using useMocker, right? And these things also, I have just given the LLM a sample test file and given some pointers, and it has generated this skill.md as well, right? So whenever you are doing any sort of repetitive task, you can generate your skill file as well. And yeah, obviously you can just prompt and modify the skill files too. Okay, so we have our Nest unit test skill, and let me bring the monitoring service folder as well from Git, and you will get to know like what we did. So let me copy the exact path, relative path, and git checkout from sandbox this path. Okay. Now, if I open this monitoring service spec, and I have asked the LLM to follow a TDD, so it will first write the test, right? And then it will try to pass those tests with the actual implementation. So these are all the things. These are pretty standard stuff. So we are first mocking all those things, right? Use mocker, and we are getting those service from the dependency injection, right? Sorry, dependency container, and then it is just checking should return only in case of context query, throws any error, those kind of things, right? And these are pretty standard stuff. And I saw like for this for that skill file, it did not like repeat it did not make any sort of mistakes that it was making previously, right? It kind of did follow the dry principle. It was extracting out all the like you can see like create ticketing context, those kind of helper function. It was extracting out, right? It was having those overrides. Okay, so it was writing pretty good test. And yeah, on the implementation part, on the monitoring service, this is a simple implementation. So this till this point we were good. And then it is extracting ticket on the server, and then it is calling that llm.generate object, right? And it is just passing the schema, and resolution plan is again the jod object. Okay, should go with ssh, or uh, like just update the nodes. Okay, and then like if it is suggesting ki go with ssh from here, and the server is, oh, first it is checking if the server is configured or not, ssh configuration is present or not. If configuration is not present, and um, or basically or cannot resolve with ssh, then it is just updating the ticket with the plan, right? And in case of ssh command, no ssh command present, uh, the line number 59 is in case of SSH is configured, but the command, the plan, like this plan is not returning an SSH command, right? In that situation, also it is just giving some step resolution notes, and finally it is executing the commands, right? And it is marking the ticket status closed, and issue resolved. Okay, we should have some sort of yeah, it is having actually a try catch here as well. So in case of this execute command is throwing any error, it is again marking the ticket is in progress, and its remediation failed. And yeah, this is good, this is very good. Perfect. Let me run the test and let's see everything is working properly or not. So pnpm run test. Let me cd into the apps Nest app first. Oh my god. Nest could not find ticketing service element. This provider does not exist. Ticketing service. Okay. First, let me turn off this verbosity from this .n package. It's kind of annoying. So we just set up. Do I have any purpose? What are the options I'm having here? Quite true. Nest could not find ticketing service element. This provider does not exist in the current context. All right, guys, I found the error. Uh, there's a bad news, that is we are again facing that circular dependency error, right? I don't know how I am hitting the circular dependency, but yeah, I had a bad feeling as well while I was building this. So basically, from the remote server, whatever ticketing service, ticketing module we are bringing, right, that is kind of creating the issue. And yeah, so my plan is, let's not do it like this. And from the remote server, we can let me open the monitoring server remote server module first. Yeah, so we are creating bringing this ticketing module, right? And inside the ticketing, most probably inside the ticketing module, we are bringing the log analysis job module, right? And the log analysis job module is bringing the remote server module. So there's a circular dependency. Okay, so we cannot go with this route. So instead of directly calling update ticket, we can raise an event key, uh, ticket has been updated, or remote server has the issue has been resolved, ticket has been resolved, right? And the ticketing service can listen for that event, and it will do the resolution there. Okay, so that's one way of solving that. And yeah, the second way would be basically to extract out this monitoring service and create its own module, or make it a top level service, and we should not have it with the remote server. But I don't have a good feeling with that. So what my plan is, I will be raising an event. Okay, so when the execution is done, in this case I will be just raising an event key, the ticket has been updated or ticket has been resolved. Okay, and here I can raise an event key, ticket has been updated maybe, and from other module it will just pick up that, and it will perform the task accordingly. So yeah, this is my plan. Let's implement that. All right, I have done some research on this part, and most probably I found a solution. The solution is, obviously the first way is you can have a global event like anomaly updated, or anomaly got resolved, or got resolved, right? And from the ticketing service you can listen for those sort of events. So if I open the ticket service, you can see right now we are listening for handle anomaly created event, right? So we can listen for a new event like anomaly updated or anomaly resolved, right? And we'll be updating the ticket based on that data. And from the remote server monitoring, we will just raise those events instead of directly calling the anomaly the ticketing service. So this is the way number one. Okay, and in that situation, what will happen is this ticketing service won't be having any sort of dependency on this monitoring service, right? Sorry, the other way. The monitoring service won't be having any sort of dependency with this ticketing service. But then also it might get complicated because there's a fundamental flaw I can see in the code. That is, if I open the ticketing service, and ticketing service has nothing to do with this uh, remote servers, log source, log analysis job. Okay, ticketing service only care about key if any anomaly is um, getting created or not. Okay, so but if you see the ticketing module, what we are doing is we are directly importing this log analysis module. And why we are importing this log analysis module? To use the log analysis job service, right? So in the ticketing service you can see we are depending on this log analysis job service just to get the context. Okay, what context means, like we are getting the provider configuration, we are getting the anomaly. Okay, you can see the get anomaly, get ticketing system config, those sort of things. But instead of directly relying upon this log analysis job service, what we should do, we should extract out that logic inside these queries. So you already know, like for the ticket creation, we are already having a ticket creation context query, right? Why don't we have an anomaly creation context query as well? Okay, that might help. So let me have a new file, or let me just copy this one, and let's call it only anomaly context is fine. Okay, and we won't be writing any test or anything for this because this will be some simple TypeScript function call. Okay, and again we are relying upon the anomaly repository. That's good. Now in the relation, when we are finding one, we do not want to have the log analysis job. Yeah, we want to have the log analysis job, but remote server is not required. So instead of passing an object here, I can just pass true. Perfect. Again, if anything is going wrong, then database error. If no anomaly is getting found, then anomaly not found error. And ticketing info, we don't care because in the anomaly context, we only care about the anomaly. Inside anomaly, you might have the ticketing info, you might not have the ticketing info. That's like whatever service that is consuming this query, that's their problem, right? So let me remove this part as well. And this is also not needed. And on the OK response, I just want to send the anomaly and optional like ticketing system config, and that is coming from anomaly log analysis job ticketing system config. Right, this is good. Let me add that in the queries module as well. And let me change the name. Okay, perfect. And now I can just import it like this. And we're exporting that as well because we have to use this. All right, perfect. Now inside the ticketing service, ticketing module, let me open the module quickly. We do not want to import this log analysis job module. So let me remove that. And we just want to depend on this query module. That's fine. Right. And inside the query module index, let me re-export the anomaly context query as well. So now our ticketing module is kind of very lightweight, right? It's not depending upon almost anything. It's just directly depending on the database, you can say. Right. That's a very good start. Now this design will break something else, that is inside the ticketing service we're directly calling this log analysis job service. Let me remove that and let me relying on the anomaly creation context query. Right. Now the first thing is we want to have the response like this, anomaly ID. That's good. And in case of error, let me just have a to-do statement that we have to handle the error in later stage. We don't need this. And again, we are getting the provider config here. Provider config we can get from here as well. So anomaly and ticketing system config, let's call it provider config. Okay, and we are just checking if provider config the type is not present, then just return. Again, you don't have to call this get anomaly, and you are creating the provider. And if you reach till this point, then you know anomaly is present, right? So we do not need this check. So we just have to check like if anomaly status is open or not. Okay, then rest of the things are kind of good. And yeah, we have to, when ticket is getting created, we will be just having this anomaly.id. All right, rest of the things are good. And now all the tests will get broken. So pnpm test. Yeah, let me fix those tests one by one. All right, ticketing service test. The first thing is we have to remove this log analysis job service. We do not need that. Instead of that, let me just have anomaly context query. Why am I not getting any auto completion here? I don't know. Hmm, perfect. Let me remove that as well. Fine. And now we were by default sending these things, right? Key. Whenever you will be calling this get ticketing system config, you should resolve into this. We do not need that. And by default, we were setting an event as well. Where is the event? Oh, this is bad. We are declaring it here. Let's put it on the top. Okay, perfect. And one more thing I want to change here. No, let's come back to that later. Let me first fix all those things. And from the definition define thing, let me just check like ticket context, sorry, anomaly context query is defined or not. And now almost all the tests are getting broken, right? So now inside our main service layer, we are not even calling this get ticketing system config. So what we are doing is we are doing it like this. So first let me have the anomaly, get anomaly, perfect. Then let me have the ticketing config, and that's good as well. And then anomaly context query dot execute mock result value, and it will just resolve an okay response from never throw, and it will just pass the anomaly and the ticketing system config. But in this situation, what we want to do is what we were checking key provider configure is missing. So I will be just passing undefined here. Okay, let me give it a save. Let's see if the first test should get passed. Yeah, should be defined. It's passing. Let me copy the same thing. Let me give it a save. Now second test should get passed as well. Sorry, yeah, third. The first one was should be defined. So second is getting passed, third is getting passed as well. By the way, guys, whenever you are extracting out, when you were following the try principle, do not repeat yourself, right? When you are extracting out a common logic, then my suggestion is do not just first write the, or do not try to extract out the logic before you are writing the logic. Okay, so my recommendation is always write that logic twice. Okay, so you can see I can just after writing these, or before even writing these, I can guess like I might need that, and let me create a function for that. And that's a bad practice. You will abstract out some unnecessary thing. Okay, and that will bite you back for sure. So my recommendation is you first write whatever you are doing. You first repeat yourself at least twice or thrice. Okay, then you will get a clear cut idea. Ki what should I abstract out? Okay, what should I extract out? Okay, what's the common function or common variable that is hiding inside our logic? So now from these two tests, I can see this part I'm repeating, right? So what I can do is I can create a simple function called prepare context. And inside the prepare context, I can just cut this, paste it here. This is also not needed. By the way, on the second test, what I needed is I will be passing the ticketing system config, but type should be undefined, if you remember correctly. Right. So I cannot like completely cut this thing. Right. So instead of that, what I have to do is I can do it like this. So when you are preparing the context, you can pass some anomaly over, right? That will be partial anomaly, and ticketing system override if you need that. And that will be, and if you're not passing any ticketing system override, then I will by default will be passing this ServiceNow ticketing provider. Right now, let me pass the anomaly override here. Okay, and we do not need this ticketing service. I can just pass the ticketing. Let me call it ticketing system config only. Okay, and once everything is completed, let me just return the anomaly and the ticketing system config. That's fine. So we're having a nice little function called prepare context. We can call it here. And anomaly override we don't need. We just want to pass the type is equal to undefined. Why this is yelling at me? Now it's good. But the first one on the first test, instead of just calling prepare context, I will be calling this thing. Okay, because I directly want to pass undefined here. So anomaly, you can pass get anomaly. I don't need any override. And here I'll be just ticketing system config will be just undefined. Okay. Now from this refactoration fast, yeah, these three should get passed. And let me work on the third one now, or fourth one. It should return only when anomaly does not exist. We don't have to check this because yeah, TypeScript will handle that. We are returning an error, anomaly not found, right? Um, now, okay, all right, perfect. So for rest of the tests, what I'm doing is I'm calling this prepare context, and prepare context is returning the anomaly. We will be using that to test against this, right? So let me give it a save. Everything should work now. Perfect. Let me do a complete test. Perfect. So we have refactor our anomaly logic, the ticketing service logic, so that we can directly query the database from the query layer. Right. And one more thing I want to change here. Um, I saw that basically two things. The first one is in the anomaly event, we are passing this job ID and the owner ID. We do not need that. Anomaly ID is enough. Okay. So in the ticketing, it will break the things. Uh, so you don't have to pass the job ID owner ID now. And on the ticketing service also, yeah, you are only passing the anomaly ID. That's good. No, no, no. Oh yeah, yeah. This is okay. That's a different event. Yeah, we didn't break anything else. And also, while we are here, I have noticed something else. That is, we are bringing this database module twice, right? So let me remove once. All the tests are getting passed, and sometime to find out the TypeScript error, right? What you have to do is you have to at least either build the Honda system, right, or you have to run the development server. That will catch some TypeScript error. By default, unit test, like from the unit test we are not catching any TypeScript error. Those TypeScript error are called linting error. So sometimes we are only relying upon the IDE or cursor or VS code to find out all those linting error, but sometimes they are missing some things, right? So what you should do is you should build the project or run the development server, and that will catch all those linting error. So let me just do pnpm start dev, and let's see what are the things we are missing here. So first thing is, yeah, as you know, like editor didn't able to find that. And Nest can resolve dependency in the monitoring service. The second dependency it cannot find. Monitoring service. What is the second dependency? LLM. Okay. So LLM service in the LLM module. Yeah, we're not exporting that. So let's export that. No. Let me give it a save. Now everything is running properly, right? So we have successfully refactored our code, and now our ticketing service is not depending on anything. And from the log analysis job, not log analysis, from the remote server monitoring, we can very easily call this update ticket, because only the monitoring service, the remote server service, is depending on the ticketing service. That's good. Perfect. Let me run our end-to-end test as well. Perfect. Let's do a quick commit. Let's see what are the things we have changed. We have added a new skill file, agent skill. Okay, unit test skill add, and rest of the things. What did we change here? Okay, these are all new file. LLM module in it. We have to come back to this LLM module. Event update. Event animal event payload update. Perfect. What did I do? Okay, we just set up test config update. Duplicate database import. We did something else as well. We are bringing this LLM module. Let's call it grab module update. That's okay. And log analysis service queries. We have added a new query. So anomaly context query add, and on the remote server we have populated this, right? So monitoring add, ssh add, and on the module part, what we did, we have imported all the other things, right? So remote server update is fine. This is just to when we are emitting the event, we are not passing anything. So log analysis event payload. Okay, and finally the ticketing service. Ticketing module does not depend on anything else, or monitoring job, sorry, log analysis job. Okay, so we did a lot of things in this section, and in the next section we will try to handle the actual implementation of this LLM module and as well as the SSS module. Perfect. All right, so we'll start implementing all the features. So let us first start with the LLM on, right? So inside the LLM service, now you can see I'm just mentioning key method not implemented. Okay, so let's import our generate text from AI. So that will be generate text. And as we are already having a generate text method here, right? Let's call it generate text as um, AI SDK generate text. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the first one is very simple. So let's have the response like with AI SDK generate text, and we have to bring the OpenAI part as well from AI SDK. And for now, let's go with GPT-4o mini because we do not want to spend a lot of money. Okay, model is fine. Prompt, whatever prompt is coming from the parameter, and the system message that is coming from the parameters as well. So let me put the system message at the top, and generate text is kind of done. And for the generate object, we will be having the output schema only, right? So let me quickly build that. That will be again our AI SDK generate text schema. Instead of a schema, we will be passing the schema here. Let me pass the system message first. Perfect. And on the output, it will be this output from AI, and that will be yeah object. And inside that, we will be passing the schema params.schema. Right now, there will be a issue. Let me show you that issue. So response.output will basically like contain that whatever object we are passing. Now, inside our generate object, what we're doing is we are having a generic, right? So this is called a generic in TypeScript, you know that. But the library that we are using, this AI SDK, does not allow you to like pass that generic. Like it will not allow you to pass through that generic. Okay, so for that reason, you have two options. The first option is you can like pass it like z.infer and like whatever you are returning here, right? You just mentioned that. Okay, this is the option number one. And second option can be you can just do a further verification. So how to do that? So you can just call params.schema.parse, and whatever output you are having, you are just passing that. So under the hood, this AI SDK generate text is also doing the same thing. It is passing. Okay, whatever state, whatever response that is coming from the LLM, it is doing the parsing with the job schema. But to make this type shape, and we are calling this parse method. And also, like, if you call this parse method, and behind the scene, if AI SDK is not doing the parsing method, then like it will act as a guard as well as some type safety mechanism, right? So what we are doing is, inside the generate object, whatever response we are having from the response dot pass, response dot output, we are passing that output. This will be an object, right now it is unknown, you can see, to object schema dot parse, and in that way it will just give you that inferred version of that type. Let's give it a save. And if you want, in the LLM service spec, you can have some integration test to test this functionality out. But I'm not doing that. I will be writing an end-to-end test that will be helpful, I guess. So LLM part is done. Now let me open the SSH part. So in the SSH part also we have to implement the method. And I, like, in the sandbox version, I have asked the LLM to basically generate this SSH part. So let me just bring that file. So let me do a copy relative path, and I'll be just doing git checkout from sandbox, and this is the file path. So it's pretty simple. First, we are SSH connection we already had, right? And whenever you are running some sort of SSH command on a system, this is nothing to do with development, nest development, or AI. So whenever you are, if you are familiar with SSH, and if you are running the command, not even SSH, if you are running any command inside any terminal window, right? You can have two types of response. The first one is standard out, whatever the actual output that the terminal is giving you. If there is any error, then it will just give you the standard error. And in case of everything is good, then it will just give you the code 0. But if there is some sort of error, then it will give you the exit code 1, right? So this is the standard thing that you are getting from the terminal, right? And we are using a library called node ssh. Let me install this library as well. So cd into apps nest application pnpm I node ssh. Perfect. And node ssh, like, it will just give you a inbuilt node client for ssh, right? So you can just pass the host username private key, right? And it will connect to that environment, and it will just execute that command. Okay. And whatever result you are having, like, you can see, like, inside the result also you are having standard out, standard error, and we are just passing through that. And you can see, like, we are putting it inside a try catch block, right? So finally we are calling this dispose, otherwise it will just continue with that connection, right? So once the execution is done, we want to close the connection. So that's why finally we're calling ssh dispose, right? So again, I just prompt the AI, give me the actual implementation for ssh service with node ssh, and it has given me this. Okay, perfect. So this implementation also is also done. If you want, if you have a remote server available, you can have an integration test, right, to test the end-to-end thing. And yeah, so we are done with our services. Now inside our remote server, what's the remote server? Yeah, monitoring, we did write some unit test. But now let's do one thing. Let us write a complete end-to-end test, okay, for this monitoring purpose. So for the end-to-end test, we are keeping all the tests inside this directory. Let me copy this ticket creation on. We will be going from this, right? So let's call it resolution, ticket resolution. Okay, let me remove the copy part as well. Perfect. And this will be ticket resolution end to end. All the other things is necessary. We will be mocking the ticket provider, that's fine. Before which, this is fine as well. But we will be checking the LLM part. But as we do not have any remote server, the SSH module I want to mock as well, right? So dot um, override provider, yeah, SSH service. Use. Let me have SSH service here as well.
Mm, and perfect. Rest of the things are fine. Let me have a test call. It should check the resolution. Okay, we might have multiple tests, but for now, this is good. So all the other things we will be creating remote server, but there will be only one problem. The remote server, if I open the remote server entity, you can see we had a thing called is connection configured. Okay, and also we have to pass the configuration as well. So when you will be having your entire application ready, you will be having a separate endpoint. So separate controller endpoint, and from that endpoint you will be updating those, right? So right now in the DTO section, if you go to the update section, right, you can see you can only update the name, description, and config, right? So in the future, you will be having an endpoint like update the configuration. And once the configuration is updated, you will check the connection. And if the connection you can successfully establish the connection, then only you will be updating this is connection configured. Okay. But right now we don't have that endpoint ready. So for that reason, my plan is we will be directly going into the database and we will be creating a remote server. This is not a very good practice because inside any sort of end-to-end test, right, you should not touch your internal system. You should not directly manipulate the database. You can, but yeah, it's better to just um, handle everything or update the data or insert the data from outside like this. Okay, so we were like in this situation we were sending a post request to the remote server to create a remote server. But for now, let me just have it like this. So constant, let's call it server, and await data source dot get repository remote server, and let me call the save method. Right, we will be passing first the owner ID, and owner ID is we are having a owner ID here, I guess. Whatever owner ID, like we are default owner ID we are using, right? So that is here. This default user one. Let me copy that and test server configuration is important. I have to call it host. Username is fine and is configured is true. Perfect. So we have the server ready. Then we have to create a job. Right now, to create a job, you can, if you want, you can yeah call this HTTP server. That's fine. So remote server ID will be server.id. Rest of the things are fine. Ticketing system, ticketing provider. We are configuring the ticketing provider as well here, right? Till the job part, it's good. Now we'll be sending some error logs, right? And based on the error logs, the AI will decide like it should go forward or not. So in the message, let's just put database connection failed. Okay, and make it critical. Then we'll be ingesting the logs, all the standard stuff. But one thing I want to mention, key here we're manually calling this, but we had a factory function, right? So let's call that instead. So constant server is equal to await create remote server. Let me pass the entire thing here. So we'll be passing the data source and then all the things. So this is good. I'm just using this create remote server. That's it. Okay. So in this situation, you don't have to pass this name or anything else. By default, it will take something, and I'm just interested in these properties. And also, if I do not pass the owner ID, the default owner ID should be like this. So right now it's just faking it. The default user is fine, and let's not pass that as well. Perfect. This is done. We are ingesting the log. Ingestion is done. Now Now let's see. Let's run and let's see what are the errors we are having. So pnpm test end to end, and we'll be passing the resolution on, right? See, all these things are getting passed because there's a issue. This request, when you are ingesting the log, immediately it is just updating the updating key. There is some anomaly or there are some logs, and if there is any anomaly, it is updating the anomaly and it is just giving an immediate response, right? But for all those event handling process, it's not waiting. And we are having another thing you can see here, key. Once every test is done, we want to close the application, so we are immediately closing the app. So all those llm call, so step by step pipeline, it's not getting followed, right? So it's not a ideal practice, but for now let's just have an await and have a set timeout kind of thing, or it will be like new promise maybe. And let's wait for 10 seconds, and our entire test should wait for 1500 seconds, sorry, 1500 milliseconds maybe, or 15 seconds, right? If I give it a save and let me go to the ticketing service, and not here, where is the ticketing service? In the ticketing service, when we are calling this update part, right, let me just console log what we want to update this ticket with, right? So yeah, let me give it an entire save and let's see. Okay, there's some issue. So let's go with one by one. So let's first check in the monitoring service everything is getting properly called or not. So the first part is we want to see like if we can extract out the ticket properly or not. Like is it creating the ticket for that anomaly? So let's give it a save, and let's check the server as well. Why not? Let's first check like this event handlers getting called or not. So yeah, it is getting called. Then we have to check like if we're getting the response. Okay, ticketing info not found, so we are having an error. For that error, it is just giving us ticketing info not found. Why that is the case? mm, is it creating the anomaly? Are we doing it properly? So log analysis job, we are passing here, we are sending that, and there are some error logs. This is good. This is an anomaly, right? It should create an anomaly, and if there is any anomaly, then yeah, anomaly is getting created. That's why like this ticket created event is getting called. But if the ticket created event is getting called, then it should find out the ticket as well. Okay, that's some issue. Let me find out. All right, guys, I kind of found the issue. That is, here we're getting the error, right? The key ticketing info not found. That's because if I go to the ticketing service, where's the ticketing service? Yeah. Okay, look at this. Once we are creating the ticket, we are emitting the ticket has been created, but inside the anomaly, we are not updating that. Key inside the anomaly also we should update that, right? Key ticketing information has been updated. Okay, we are not doing that. So if you are having a separate table for ticket, then you just have to mark an entry, right? But as we are not having a separate table, we are using the anomaly table to store the ticketing information as well, right? So in the ticketing module, let me just bring that anomaly anomaly table, that is type orm for feature, I guess, right? Yeah, type orm module dot for feature, and let me just pass anomaly here. Okay, not in the provider, it should be in the import. Sorry, let me cut this, let me put it on the top. Perfect, let me give it a save. And this has nothing to do with our end-to-end test. This is like we did a big mistake, right? On the ticketing service, before emitting the ticketing information, we should store the ticket data. So let me have the ticket from here, and let me just call. Okay, we have to inject the provider as well. Anomaly repo, inject anomaly, and let me bring repository from here as well. Once we are having the ticket, we just have to do this dot anomaly repo. By the way, in future, when you will be having your own ticket table, then you will be just calling ticket repo. Okay. But as we are storing the ticket information in the anomaly table, we are calling anomaly repo. Dot updates, pass the anomaly ID, anomaly.id. And the information we want to update is ticketing info. And ticketing info should be equal to ticket. Now, yeah, this will give you an error. I really don't know about this error. Why this is the case with type ORM. Inside type ORM, when you are updating anything, and if it's a nested object, then it does not allow you to pass any random things. So I think type ORM is worried that inside ticketing info, if you go to ticketing info, we are expecting key, it will be simple JSON and an array of like a record of string and any, right? So maybe it is giving us error for that. It is not sure that ticket is JSON serializable or not. But to bypass this error, you just have to explicitly mention key ticket will be type of record string any. Okay, there won't be any other sort of information. Okay, let me give it a save, and let me run the unit test for this ticketing thing. So pnpm test ticketing service, I guess. Yeah, all the tests are getting passed, but this logic is not getting tested. So let me just add a block there. So in the ticketing service, should create a ticket when provider config is valid. This is perfect. And we're expecting that anomaly repo will get called as well. So let me have the anomaly repo here. Where's the before each block? Yeah, here. Let me just have here like let anomaly repo repository. Let me hit tab and get repository token. This is fine. So we are having the anomaly repo. Now should return only, this is good. Should return only, this is also good. Should create a ticket when provider config is valid. Should raise an ticket created event. Let me put it here. It should update the anomaly with the ticket info. Okay, so again we are having the preparing context. We are calling it with the event, and we're expecting key anomaly report.update to have been called with obviously the anomaly ID first, and then the ticketing. Yeah, whatever the mock provider is returning, right? Basically, that's what we are expecting. Let me give it a save, and everything is just working. All right, so now we are successfully saving back the ticketing information, right? So from the database, when we'll be querying the anomaly to get the ticket information, we'll find something. Perfect. Let me close out these things, and now let's see. Let us try to run the end-to-end test. Pnpm run or pnpm test end-to-end. Okay, and let me just pass resolution here. Okay. Even cannot perform update query because update values are not defined. Call db dot. Okay, this error you will have when you are trying to update anything, and whatever value you are providing, right, that is kind of undefined. So this ticket is undefined. Let's find out why that's the case. So let me go to this create ticket, and but it is resolving the ticket actually. So I don't know. Let's try to console log this ticket, and yeah, you can see it's undefined. I don't know why that is the case. So this is the ticket from the provider. We are passing anomaly title, anomaly description. If we're having the console log. Okay, most probably, let me first, yeah, close this. Most probably what is happening is we are not calling the actual provider, right? So if I open the end-to-end test, ticket creation, ticket resolution dot end-to-end test, you can see we are mocking this thing, right? This ticketing provider. Now, when you are ingesting the log, right, we have to basically um, like this ticketing provider dot create ticket should return some things, right? So on the before is block, we can just have a mock return value like this, or let's have a mock implementation. Okay, we are having the anomaly information. What we are passing here on the ticketing service, we are passing the title, description, severity. That's it on the create ticket. So let me have the props here, and it's just return promise dot resolve. Ticketing status is open. Yeah, so we are mocking the create ticket provider basically. This part was missing. That's why it was just returning undefined and everything was got broken for that. Again, run the end-to-end test. This time we might break something else, but let's see. What is happening here? Invalid schema response format. This error I kind of know. So this is coming from OpenAI's SDK. That is, let me open the actual implementation, monitoring implementation. So, by the way, to resolve this error as well, I had to go through a lot of documentation. Uh, so the thing is, when you are defining this sort of schema, right? This is under the hood. AI SDK is passing this to OpenAI. With OpenAI's SDK, it is passing that to OpenAI server, right? Now, for some reason, OpenAI does not like key you will be having any sort of optional parameter like this, right? So to just resolve that, what you have to do is instead of optional, you can have a description field, and inside that you can mention key do not just pass a random or not random, just pass an empty string in case of there is no SSS command to pass, right? But you have to pass the value uh, from the LLM, right? And let me give some description as well, and let me mention here in case of false, in case of no resolution should be empty string. Yeah, this is fine. And rest of the other things are kind of good. Let me give it a save. Okay, nice. So we are having something in the update section. So now you can see after everything, let me first turn off this call thing. Where am I calling? Where am I console logging this? Let me find out on the monitoring service. Otherwise, I will forget. So yeah. So on the update ticket, what we are passing key on the title, database connections failed is fine, status open. But on the description part, right, we are having some resolution notes. You can see resolution assistant notes. The issue with the database connection may require checking application logs, database service status, or database configuration. More information is needed to diagnose the exact cause. Okay. So it is performing all the steps, and it is actually updating the resolution node. So it's a good start.